Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Natsu had dual elements. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 31, Confrontations. The next day, Fairy Tale Guild Hall. The guild's as noisy as ever today, Lucy said with a small smile, as she rested her head on her palm, watching her rowdy nakama yell and laugh. It's just so lively in here. Well, it can't be helped, Urza said, walking up behind Lucy and resting her hands on her hips. It's Fairy Tale's spirit after all. Ah, it's not so bad, Lucy said, as she turned to face the scarlet-haired knight. The blonde celestial spirit mage was surprised to see that Urza was wearing a brand new set of armor. Lucy was also surprised that Urza wasn't trying to calm everyone down and stop the party. It seems like you've changed ever since we got back from the Tower of Heaven, Urza. A hidden smirk spread across Lucy's face when she noticed Urza unconsciously rubbing her mate Mark. I wonder why. Really? I don't feel like I'm doing anything different, Urza said in a confused tone, slightly cocking her head. Please elaborate, Lucy. Well, before you'd be yelling at everyone to calm down and to be quiet, Lucy explained, as she gestured to the partially destroyed guild hall in front of her. Urza's face slightly flushed red in embarrassment, as she remembered all the destruction she had caused the previous day. But now you're joining and partying with us. It's good for us to relax once in a while. You're only young once. Everyone needs to unwind and blow off some steam every now and then. Well, I suppose you're right, Urza said, slowly nodding her head. But I still think I went a little overboard yesterday. I mean, Elfman just regained consciousness this morning and Gray will never look at spoons the same way ever again. What did you do to Gray with a spoon? Lucy asked, as she quirked an eyebrow in confusion. It's best you don't ask, Urza replied in a serious tone, leaning closer to the blonde celestial spirit mage and locking eyes with her. I mean it, Lucy, you don't want to know. Oh, okay, Urza, I won't ask again, Lucy said with an audible gulp, as she slowly leaned away from Urza. So changing the subject, that new armor you're wearing looks pretty cool. Why, thank you, Lucy, this armor is quite comfortable, Urza said with a smile, her tone and mood doing a complete 180. Urza's new armor was more detailed, sporting a breastplate now composed of a single piece of metal, decorated with curved lines and a deformed version of Heartcruise's mark. The right arm of the mark's cross extended to armor's right side, with Fairy Tale's mark added under the cross itself, which was now lacking the brand's name. The shoulder guards were also larger and more detailed. The waist guard was now composed of only two elaborated plates hanging from a simple belt over a smaller, thinner pair of plates circling her waist. The most visible additions of the new armor were the plated gauntlets extending up to Urza's elbows, which were covered by elbow guards adorned by protruding metal ornaments similar to feathers, and a prominent armored collar circling her neck and leaving the front side open. This collar was made up by protrusions similar to the ones on Urza's elbows. This armor is actually a brand new design by Heartcruise. It was specially designed just for me. Well, it looks great on you, Lucy said, as she gave Urza's new armor a quick look over. Although it is kinda weird seeing you wear something so flashy. Oh, I'm the flashy one? Urza asked with a teasing smirk, quirking an eyebrow in amusement. You're the one whose hair is all done up and is wearing makeup, and those clothes you're wearing. Urza shook her head as she glanced at Lucy's attire, which consisted of an orange blouse that exposed her midriff and a pair of extremely short shorts that exposed most of the blonde's luscious thighs. I think you're the one who's trying to catch someone's attention. Well, that reporter is coming today, Lucy muttered, as her face began to flush red in embarrassment. And I was really hoping to dash. Oh. It's Titania Urza, a new voice shouted from behind Urza and Lucy. Turning around, both girls were surprised to see a scrawny-looking man with dark blonde hair, which was sticking straight up in a single point on his head. The overexcited man was wearing a fairy tale t-shirt and had a camera around his neck, as he ran towards both girls. "Oh my God! I can't believe it's really you!" Suddenly the man slid on his knees, coming to a stop right in front of Lucy and Urza. "Cool. Cool. Cool. The real Urza is so cool. He's the reporter from the Weekly Sorcerer?" Lucy asked, pointing to the panting man, who looked like he was about to pass out from sheer excitement. "Is rather energetic, isn't he? I believe his name is Jason," Urza said, whispered to Lucy, just as said man got back onto his feet and rushed over to the scarlet-haired knight. "I see you made it here okay." "Oh, it was no problem," Jason said with a grin, rapidly nodding his head and pulling out a pen and notepad. "Now can I ask you some questions?" "Hello, my name is Lucy," the blonde celestial spurt mage said with a bright smile, as she extended her hand to Jason. "I'm Urza's friend." However, Lucy's shoulders sank when she saw that she was being completely ignored by the reporter. "Oh, come on. I got all dolled up for this interview and now he's acting like I don't even exist. So Urza, how many armors can you re-equip into?" Jason asked, his hands slightly trembling as he prepared to jot down anything the scarlet-haired knight might say. Urza hummed, as she tapped her chin while she thought. "Around 200 I think, I don't really keep count to be honest." "So cool!" Jason exclaimed, rapidly scribbling notes onto his notepad. "Which one do you like the most?" "It's a tie between the Flame and Lightning Empress armors," Urza replied, as a small smile spread across her face. "That's cool!" Jason cheered, quickly jotting down several more notes. "Any particular reason you likes those armors over all your others?" "Yes, there is a special reason that I like those more," Urza said, as she gave Jason a sly wink. "But that's a secret." That answer was so cool. Jason yelled with a stupid grin, flipping to a new page on his notepad. "Okay, let's move to an easier question. What's your favorite food?" "Ah, that's an easy one," Urza replied, as she closed her eyes and nodded her head. "Strawberry cake is my favorite food by far." ****, I guess I did all this for nothing," Lucy complained, resting her head on her palm as she watched Jason continue to question Urza. However, Lucy perked back up when she saw Jason walk away from Urza and turn his attention to her. The blonde celestial spirit mage smiled and the reporter and waved him over. But Lucy's hopes were quickly dashed when Jason sprinted past her, practically shoving her out of the way in the process. "It's Gray. I can't believe the real Gray is right before my eyes," Jason exclaimed, as he came to a skidding stop in front of the ice mage's table. "Damn it, why isn't he paying attention to me?" Lucy muttered, slumping down into the seat next to Urza. The scarlet-haired knight couldn't help but chuckle lightly when Lucy slammed her head onto the table in frustration. "It's not fair. Well, he's interviewing the most well-known members of the guild first," Urza reasoned, just as Mirajane strolled over and set down a tray full of tea and sweets. The scarlet-haired knight's mouth began to water, as she eyed the numerous cakes and desserts Mirajane had baked. "I'm sure he'll get to you eventually." "That's right, Lucy, just be patient," Mirajane said with a smile, taking a seat on the other side of the table. "You'll get your chance to be interviewed." "I guess you're right, I'll just have to wait my turn, I guess," Lucy said, as she released a light sigh. However, as Lucy stared at the white-haired barmaid, she suddenly remembered something. "By the way, Mira, weren't you supposed to be performing a song in a few minutes?" "Oh, don't worry about it," Mirajane replied with an innocent smile, dismissively waving off Lucy's question. "Someone asked if they could perform instead of me, and I said it was okay." "Who is it?" Lucy asked, as she quirked an eyebrow in intrigue. "I promised I wouldn't tell," Mirajane said with a quick wink, pressing a finger to her lips. "So you won't get any info out of me." "Fine," Lucy said with a huff, as she laid her head back down on the table. "Mira, these are delicious," Urza moaned, biting into her fourth piece of strawberry cake. You'll have to teach me how to make these sometime. How can she keep eating like that and keep that figure? Lucy thought with a frown, as she watched Urza finish her piece of cake and immediately move on to another one. Where does all that cake go? Lucy stopped mid-thought when her eyes landed on Urza's breastplate. Despite being covered by armor, Lucy knew the giant globes of flesh that lie hidden underneath. Oh, that's where it goes. I'm enjoying your company, Mira, and love that you brought us snacks. Urza said in suspicious tone, setting down her fork and quickly wiping her mouth. The scarlet-haired knight's eyes suddenly narrowed, spotting the devious smile on Mira Jane's face. Shouldn't you be getting back to the bar? I'm sure other people are waiting to place orders. It's no problem, Mira Jane said, as she cocked her head, her smile widening. I got someone to fill in for me for a little bit. So I have some time to spare. Okay, Mira, what do you want? Urza asked, pushing her half-eaten piece of cake away. We've been friends for years, so I can spot most of your little tricks. You obviously brought these sweets to butter me up. Oh? Whatever do you mean, Urza? Mira Jane asked in an innocent tone, as she pouted cutely. I would never do something like that, and I'm a little offended that you'd accuse me of such a thing. Okay, Mira, drop the act already, Urza said with a hint of annoyance, pinching the bridge of her nose. I'm not really in the mood to play your games right now. You obviously want something, so just out with it already. You're no fun, Urza. Mira Jane huffed, as she crossed her arms underneath her impressive bust. Humph. At least Natsu plays with me a little. Mira Jane's devious smile soon returned, as she began to tap her chin. Speaking of Natsu, your hair looks quite different, Urza. Ah, I see what this about now, Urza said, leaning forward and resting her head on her hand. You want the details of my first time with Natsu? Is it that obvious? Mira Jane asked with a smirk, as leaned towards Urza in anticipation. So, will you spill the beans? I'm dying to find out, especially after Lucy told me all about her special time with Natsu. You told Mira about that? Urza asked the blonde next to her in a surprised tone. Huh, I didn't know you were that type of girl, Lucy. Hey, I'm not some floozy who goes around and brags about all the guys she bangs, Lucy said in a slightly offended tone, her face burning a light shade of red. I only told Mira because she's the one who helped me get with Natsu in the first place. Without her encouragement, I wouldn't be together with him. That's right, Mira, Urza said, as she turned attention back to the white-haired barmaid. You're the one came up with this whole little harem situation Natsu is going on right now. I must say I don't appreciate you scheming behind my back. Well, you know how you can be, Urza, Mira Jane said, leaning back away from the scarlet-haired knight. If you had gotten with Natsu first, then you would have most likely hogged him all to yourself. You can be quite possessive, so I figured that only way for Lucy and I to have a chance was to somehow be with him first. That would force you to be open to the idea of sharing Natsu, or lose him forever. Urza's face started to turn red in embarrassment, because she knew that the things that Mira Jane was saying were true. Besides, Natsu was raised by 2 dragon kings, so he's destined to be several girls. It's not something he can really control. I guess you're right, Urza said, as her irritation began to wane. I will admit that I'm not too thrilled about the idea of sharing Natsu with other girls, but my time spent with Lucy has begun to change my mind. I feel closer with her now more than ever, and I know it's because we're both Natsu's mates. So, I guess I can get used to Natsu being with multiple girls. Well, that's good, because I plan on making my move soon. Can't let you two have Natsu all to yourselves, Mira Jane said in sly tone, a devious smirk returning to her face. So Urza, you gonna tell me about your first time with Natsu or not? ***, you just don't know when to quite, do you? Urza muttered, as closed her eyes and took a calming breath. When Urza reopened her eyes, they were half-lidded and teasing, a small smile gracing her face. Fine, Mira, I'll tell you, but not about my first time with Natsu. The white-haired barmaid quirked an eyebrow in confusion. I'll tell you about my first 6 times with Natsu. I'm listening, Mira-Jane said, leaning closer to Urza, the scarlet-haired knight now getting her full attention. Across the guild hall, with Gray and Juvia. "Oi, who are you?" Gray asked the hyperactive man, who had just stormed over to his table. "Remember what Master said yesterday, Gray-sama?" Juvia said, as she smiled brightly at Jason. "He must be the reporter from the Weekly Sorcerer." "Oh great, now there's two annoyances at this table," Gray thought, releasing a long sigh. "Whoa! It can't be." Jason shouted, his eyes shooting wide and open in excitement when he spotted the blue-haired water mage. "You're Juvia. I thought you were with Phantom Lord. But now you're with Fairy Tail. Cool." Yes, Juvia was once a member of Phantom Lord. Juvia explained, as her pale white cheeks began to flush red. But after reuniting with an old friend and meeting someone special, Juvia decided it was best for her to leave Phantom Lord and join Fairy Tail. "Oh!" Jason exclaimed, erratically scribbling down notes onto his notepad. "A possible love triangle? This will definitely spice up the next issue." "Wait!" Juvia didn't dash. "Gray!" Jason shouted, as he pointed at the peeved ice mage. "Why are you always undressing?" "I don't." Gray replied in an irritated tone, standing up from his seat. Jason and Juvia's eyes were both drawn downwards, spotting that Gray had already removed his pants. "So don't go calling me a pervert or some shit." "Gee, Gray-sama!" Juvia exclaimed with a massive blush, as she frantically pointing to the ice mage's lower body, doing her best to avert her gaze. "Why, your underwear is showing." Gray yelled in surprise, immediately sitting back down in his seat to hide his lower half. "Why does this keep happening? Oh my god!" Jason suddenly cheered, as he spotted a pink-haired man walking across the guild hall. "It's really him. Back with Lucy, Mira-Jane and Urza." "Oh my god, Urza!" Mira-Jane said, panting slightly as she fanned herself with her hand. "Those were some really steamy details. I seriously wasn't expecting you to go so in-depth." "Well, you wanted to know all the details," Urza said with a sly smirk, as she flipped some scarlet and pink locks out of her eyes. "And I always aim to please." "Heh, you sure do," Mira-Jane said with a smirk of her own, leaning towards the scarlet-haired knight. "So can I see it?" "See what?" Urza teased, fully knowing what the white-haired barmaid was referring to. "Don't play stupid with me, Urza, you know what I'm talking about," Mira-Jane said, her eyes narrowing slightly. "If you don't show me, I'll start to get upset." All right. I was just getting back at you for earlier," Urza said, as she unequipped her armor and moving some of her hair to the side. "You wanted to see this, right?" Pulling down her collar, Urza revealed her mate mark to Mira-Jane. "Beautiful, isn't it? It's so intricate, just like Lucy's mark," Mira-Jane said in awe, fatally tracing the mate mark's lines with her fingertip, causing a shiver of pleasure to run down Urza's spine. "The design is simply beautiful, and I can feel a faint warmth emanating from it." Releasing a light sigh, Mira-Jane leaned back away from Urza. "Man, I can't wait to get my own mark." "Don't worry, Mira, I'm sure you won't have to wait much longer," Lucy reassured the white-haired barmaid with a small smile. "If Natsu felt a connection to Urza and I'm sure he felt one to you as well. He's probably just waiting for the right time." "You're right, Lucy, thanks for that," Mira-Jane said, as she flashed Lucy a smile of her own. "But a girl can only wait so long before she starts to get impatient, you know? Trust Mira, Natsu is worth the wait," Lucy said, patting the top of Mira-Jane's hand. "You bet your ass he is," Urza said with a grin, as she re-equipped her armor. Speak of the devil," Mira-Jane said suddenly, spotting a familiar pink-haired dragon slayer walking towards them. "Here comes Natsu right now." "Hey girls," Natsu exclaimed with a toothy grin, as he waved to the girls. "How are you all?" "Hey Natsu." All three girls chimed simultaneously, smiling at the man they loved. "What brings you over here, Natsu?" Mary Jane asked, as she cocked her head slightly. Normally you'd be rushing to pick a job, and practically pushing Lucy and Urza out the door. I actually wanted to ask you guys something. Natsu replied, placing his hands on the table and leaning towards the girls. Have any of you seen Gajeel anywhere? I wanted to talk with him about something. Actually, Natsu, Gajeel is Dash. Cool. Mira Jane was cut off when Jason ran up to the table and practically tackled Natsu. You're Natsu Dragneel. The salamander of fairy tale that I wanted to see the most. Oi, wait a second. Natsu said with narrowed eyes, as he looked at Jason from head to toe. Suddenly the dual dragon slayer's eyes shot open in realization. You're that damn reporter from the Weekly Sorcerer. Natsu grabbed Jason by the collar and lifted him into the air, which only seemed to excite the reporter even more. You've been ruining my reputation, you bastard. You tend to do that on your own, Natsu. Urza muttered, releasing a light sigh. You're always reporting that I destroyed this and demolished that. Natsu growled, continuing to glare at Jason. I mean, just a few weeks ago you said I trashed all of Harjan. But didn't you? Jason asked, which caused Natsu to huff in irritation. No. I destroyed the port. And only the port. Not the entire town. Natsu exclaimed, causing the three girls next to him to sweat drop. Get your facts straight next time. Cool. 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 Jason cheered, as he rapidly scribbled down a series of notes. I'll make sure to do that next time. Good. Natsu said, setting Jason back down onto the ground. 'Cause I don't like people spreading stupid rumors about me. Natsu, would it be cool with you if I shook your hand? Jason asked, as he extended his hand to the dual dragon slayer. Sure thing. Natsu said, taking a hold of Jason's hand and shaking it. However, a devilish smirk soon spread across Natsu's face. Careful, people sometimes say my handshakes are quite shocking. Without warning, Natsu charged his hand with lightning, sending powerful jolts of electricity into Jason's body. See, cool. Jason exclaimed, as his entire body began to spasm from the lighting flowing into his body. When Natsu released his hand, Jason collapsed to the ground, still twitching slightly. That was the most electrifying handshake I've ever experienced. You're too cool, and Natsu. A real hero. With great effort, Jason pulled out his notepad once again and jotted down some more notes. I'm totally writing this down. Man, he's really dedicated. Lucy said, getting out of her seat and crouching down next to Jason. Mr. Reporter, do you any questions to ask me? Jason stared at Lucy with wide eyes for a few moments, before he suddenly darted past the blonde celestial spirit mage. Elfman. So cool. Damn it. Lucy sighed, as she leaned against a nearby wall in disappointment. Don't give up, Luce. Natsu said with a grin, patting his mate on the shoulder. If you keep at it, I'm sure that reporter will interview you. You're right. Lucy exclaimed, as she perked back up, Natsu's words causing a fiery determination to burn within her. I'll give it my all. Then go get him. Natsu cheered, giving Lucy a gentle slap on the back. I'm getting that damn interview. Lucy yelled, as she stormed after Jason. By the time Lucy caught up with the reporter, he was already interviewing Elfman. What is manly to you? Jason asked, pen ready to write down anything Elfman said. That's a manly question. Elfman replied with a smirk. How can such a lame conversation be more important than me? Lucy exclaimed, as she reached out to tap Jason's shoulder. Excuse Mr. Redash, but before Lucy could even finish, Jason had already moved on to someone else. Kana. I totally need to get a picture of you this time. Jason cheered, quickly snapping a pic of the lush brunette. Ha ha. I like your energy, man. Kana said with a grin, as she patted the seat next to her. Why don't you sit down and have a drink with me? You're not getting away this time. Lucy thought, finally catching up to Jason. But when the blonde celestial spirit mage stopped for a moment to compose herself, the reporter had taken off once again. Seeing that Jason had eluded her once again, Lucy stomped her foot in frustration. God damn it. Oh. Team Shadowgear. Cool. Is it true that you guys have a love triangle going on? Jason asked, which caused Levy to quirk an eyebrow in confusion. Huh? What are you dash? No comments. Jet and Droy cut Levy off simultaneously, both men having fierce blushes spread across their faces. Whoa! Master Makarov! Jason cheered as he slid up next to Fairy Tale's guild master. Can you give me a new guild ambition, please? Makarov hummed, stroking his chin while he thought. To let love and justice fill people's minds. Something smells like bullshit. Lucy said, as she scrunched her nose and crossed her arms underneath her chest. Alright, that's it. Huffing in irritation, Lucy stormed off to a nearby changing room. Sorry Natsu, but I'm going to get this guy to notice me and you did tell me to give it my all. Slipping into the small changing room, Lucy smirked when she spotted the perfect outfit. Oh, this will definitely get his attention. A few minutes later Lucy stepped out of the dressing room, now dressed in a very revealing bunny girl outfit. With a massive blush spreading across her face, Lucy made her way onto the main stage. God, this is so embarrassing. But I'm getting that interview, damn it. Alright. Lucy took a deep breath to calm her racing heart, before a bright smile spread across her face. Hey everyone, look over here. Instantly, all eyes in the guild were on Lucy, everyone shocked to see what Lucy was wearing. But none of them were more shocked than Natsu, the dragon slayer, spitting out his drink when he saw his mate so scantily dressed in front of so many people. I'm gonna sing you all a song now. Lucy? Ha! A bunny girl. I knew Lucy could be bold, but... Urza said, as she stared at the blonde celestial spirit mage in shock. Natsu, are you okay? Mira Jane asked, knowing how the dual dragon slayer normally reacted when people flirted with or ogled his mates. I'm okay, I'm alright. Natsu muttered, his brow twitching as he took rapid breaths to calm himself. The pink-haired dragon slayer could practically feeling everyone mentally undressing Lucy, his girl, and it was making his skin crawl. I know I told her to go all out and get that reporter's attention, but this is going too far. I feel like I'm gonna explode right now. Heh, I knew the bunny girl costume would be popular. Lucy thought with a smirk, as she gazed at her awestruck nakama. Suddenly all the lights in the guild went out, something that Lucy hadn't planned on. What's going on now? Out of nowhere pure white curtains dropped down on the stage behind Lucy. What? What? Is that Mira-chan? Is she going to sing too? Oh no. Mira Jane said, hiding her face in her hand. I totally forgot. Forgot about what? Natsu asked, as he quirked an eyebrow in confusion. Suddenly the white curtains moved away, revealing Gajeel sitting on the stage in a white suit and hat, with sunglasses covering his eyes and a guitar in his hands. Lucy stood beside Gajeel, staring at the Iron Dragon Slayer in utter shock. Gajeel! What the fuck? Wahahaha! Natsu laughed uproariously, slapping his hand onto the table. What's with that get-up, man? I'm dying. There aren't many things that can entertain me, Gajeel sang, as he began to strum his guitar. Ha ha ha. He's singing too. Natsu bellowed, now on the floor rolling in laughter, tears forming in his eyes. Ha ha ha. I can't take it. Someone stop him before I die. I was a stray wolf, but now I'm accepted by you guys, then I should get closer to you. Gajeel continued to sing, as his fellow guild members stared at him awkwardly. Even though we were enemies before, now we're friends. Ha, his singing voice may be a little off, but his lyrics aren't bad. Gray said, a shudder running down his spine. Do you best, Gajeel-kun? Juvia cheered with a large smile, as she clapped her hands. Yeah, give it your best. Natsu parroted, slowly getting up off the floor, his boisterous laughing changing to barely contained giggles. Natsu, be nice to Gajeel-kun. Juvia said with a frown, as she gently slapped the pink-haired dragon slayer in the arm. He's trying to closer to everyone. I got that, Juvia. Natsu said, taking a breath to calm himself and wiping the tears that had formed in his eyes. I already accept Gajeel, so he didn't have to do this to earn my trust. But you gotta admit this is fucking gold. You already accept Gajeel-kun? Juvia repeated, as her eyes widened in surprise. After all he did to your guild and Nakama, you trust him so easily? What I said the other day didn't convince you? Natsu asked, a small smile spreading across his face. I know Gajeel isn't really a bad guy, he can just be a total ass sometimes, so he doesn't have to prove himself to me. Although I can't really forgive him for trashing the guild and hurting my Nakama, especially Luce, but I still want to try and be friends with him. I'm sure everyone will come around eventually as well, you just have to be patient with them. Thank you for being so kind to Gajeel-kun. Juvia said, as she clutched a hand over her heart. He always has such a tough time making friends. Juvia always saw Gajeel-kun all alone. I promise that won't happen here, Juvia. Natsu reassured the water mage, wrapping an arm around Juvia's shoulders and pulling her close, which caused a massive blush to spread across Juvia's face, Natsu's warmth completely covering her body. Fairy Tail members always look out for their Nakama. Oh okay, Juvia will trust you. Juvia stuttered out, as she scooted a little closer to the pink-haired dragon slayer. Oi everyone, listen up. Gajeel announced, continuing to strum his guitar as he spoke. This is a song I wrote called, Best Friend. Adjusting his white hat, Gajeel leaned closer to the microphone. Colorful shooby-doo-bop. The melody of love, metallic blue. Do shalala. What the hell is he singing? Gah! My ears. Stop. Alright, Juvia will admit it's kinda funny. Juvia said, using her hand to help suppress her giggles. Giggle give it your best, Gajeel-kun. I bite those honey tightly, Gajeel sang, before he turned his head away from the microphone and spoke to Lucy. Oi bunny girl, be my dancer. Sigh I'm already up here. Lucy said in a dejected tone, starting to half-heartedly dance next to Gajeel. Cool. Jason exclaimed, as he began to snap pictures of Lucy and Gajeel. The absurdity is off the charts. This has to be the hit song of the year. Shooby-doo-bop. Gajeel sang, dodging a bottle that was thrown at his head. What the hell is shooby-doo-bop anyways? For the love of God, someone stop this guy. Cool. Jason cheered, as he ran onto the stage and slid up next to Lucy. Fairy Tail is the best. The reporter then got back onto his feet and turned to the blonde celestial spirit mage. Excuse me, but could I bother you for an interview? Of course. Lucy exclaimed, her eyes lightening up in joy. Let me just go get changed real quick, and I'll answer any questions you have. Cool. Jason yelled, as he pointed towards the bar. When you're ready, come meet me over by the bar. Yes. I did it. Lucy cheered in her head, sprinting to the changing room with a triumphant smile on her face. While Lucy prepared for her interview, Gajeel remained on stage singing his song, much to the irritation of his fellow guild members. Come on, man. Get off the stage. Stop singing already. Nah. Keep it up, Gajeel. Natsu shouted, before he began to laugh boisterously. Your singing is the best, man. Ha ha ha. Oi. Shut the hell up, salamander. You're ruining my song. Gajeel roared, as he hurled his guitar at Natsu. But to Gajeel's surprise, the pink-haired dragon slayer easily caught the instrument. This is actually a pretty sweet guitar. Natsu said, turning the instrument over and inspecting it. It's almost as nice as Myra's. Too bad I don't know how to play. If you're done ogling my guitar, I'd like it back. Gajeel said, as he held out his hand and beckoned Natsu to return the instrument. That thing was really expensive. Why don't you get off your lazy ass and come get it? Natsu asked with a mischievous smirk, plucking a few of the guitar's strings. You were the one who threw this thing at me in the first place. Fine. Gajeel grunted, as he hopped off the stage and walked over to the dual dragon slayer. Alright Salamander, give it back. Sure thing. Natsu said, holding out the guitar. But when Gajeel reached for the instrument, Natsu pulled it back. On second thought, not just yet. Don't start screwing with me, Salamander. Gajeel growled, as he glared at Natsu. I ain't in the mood for games. I'll give your guitar back. Natsu said, pointing towards a secluded section of the guild hall. But after we've have a quick talk, in private. Gajeel's blood-red eyes narrowed dangerously, as he stared Natsu down. After several moments, Gajeel saw that the dual dragon likely wasn't going to try any tricks. Okay, I can talk for a minute, but don't go trying any weird shit. I just want to ask you a question. Natsu said, leading Gajeel over towards the back corner of the guild hall. Once Natsu was sure that no one was listening in on them, he spoke up. Okay Gajeel, I'm just gonna be blunt and ask you straight up, is Levi your mate? Gajeel's immediate reaction made Natsu realize that he had hit the nail on the head. The Iron Dragon Slayer's face had quickly flushed red and he began to stammer. What the hell are you talking about, Salamander? Gajeel hissed, as he crossed his arms over his chest. There's no way that Shrimp would be my mate. Are you sure? Natsu asked, becoming quite amused by Gajeel's flustered state. Because I'm pretty sure I saw you getting really jealous when Levi kissed me on the cheek the other day. You must be seeing things. Gajeel replied, as he turned his head away from Natsu. Oh, if that's the case, then I guess you won't mind if try to take her as one of my mates. Natsu said, deciding to give Gajeel a little push and see if he could get some sort of reaction. I've actually Natsu was cut off when Gajeel suddenly grabbed him by the vest and slammed him into the wall. The dual dragon slayer was expecting Gajeel to get upset, but he wasn't prepared for this type of reaction. After being momentarily caught off guard, Natsu regained his composure. What's up, Gajeel? Stay the hell away from Levi. Gajeel growled, as he bared his fangs. She's mine. Is that so? Natsu asked with a smirk, locking eyes with the Iron Dragon Slayer. I thought you just said Levi wasn't your mate? So why should you care if I make her one of mine? Well, you see. Gajeel stammered, as he realized he had been backed into a corner. Shit. Gajeel, put me down. Natsu said with a small smile, the Iron Dragon Slayer quickly doing as he was told. Now calm down. I wasn't serious about making Levi one of my mates. Natsu had to suppress a giggle when he saw a wave of relief wash over Gajeel. I just wanted to see how you'd react. That was a dirty trick, Salamander. Gajeel muttered, as he rubbed the back of his head. Well, I guess you caught me. When did you realize she was your mate? Natsu asked, leaning against the wall next to Gajeel. It must have been after, you know. Yeah, it was after that. Gajeel replied, as he tightly balled his fists. After you kicked the shit out of me, and I had some time to think, I couldn't seem to get her out of my head. I guess some part of me realized that she was the one. She was all I could think about, and I started to feel like trash for all the awful things I did to her. The reason you couldn't stop thinking about Levi is probably your dragon instincts letting you know that she is your mate, and the reason you feel like shit is because you hurt your mate. Normal dragons have a single mate for life. Their mate is usually determined at first sight, and you hurt the one person you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with. Natsu explained, causing Gajeel to hang his head in shame. My situation is a little different because I was raised by two dragon kings. My magic subconsciously picks several mates for me to ensure that it will pass down to future generations of dragon slayers. Well, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Gajeel asked, before he released a heavy sigh. Levi probably hates my guts right now. She doesn't hate you, Gajeel, no one fairy tale hates you. Yeah, sure, some of the other guild members may be pissed at you for what you did, but I can guarantee they don't hate you. Natsu said, making Gajeel lift his head back up. If anything, Levi is just scared of you right now. All you have to do is prove to her that she doesn't have to fear you anymore. You just need to talk with her, and spend some time with her, but don't be too pushy. How the hell am I going to face her though? Gajeel asked, as he locked eyes with Natsu once again. I did something truly awful to her. You just have to man up and apologize to her face to face. Natsu said, placing a hand on Gajeel's shoulder. It's going to take time for you to earn Levi's trust, and even longer to win her heart. But if you're serious about making Levi your mate, you can't give up. Natsu suddenly patted Gajeel's shoulder and began to walk away. You just have to go for it, Gajeel. I believe in you can do it. I just have to go for it, eh? Gajeel muttered, as he spotted Levi across the guild hall. The petite Bluinette had a smile on her face as she flipped through a book. Gajeel's heart seemed to beat just a little bit faster as he gazed at her. Maybe Salamander is right. Chapter 32, Battle for Fairy Tale. 2 days later, King's Bar just south of Magnolia Town. Wahahaha. A thug laughed boisterously, showing the new issue of the Weekly Sorcerer to his buddies. Look at this, guys. Ha! Fairy Tale is such an embarrassment. Another thug exclaimed, as he pointed to an article about a mage named Grey Fullbuster. Look at this idiot. He's completely naked in this picture. TCH, how can these idiots be so popular? The third thug at the table asked, quickly skimming through the various articles and pictures. They all seem like a bunch of drunk fools. Why would they have a pool inside their guild? That's so stupid. The first thug laughed, as he slapped his hand onto the table. Check out this guy, Natsu Dragneel guy. He sounds so pathetic. The second thug yelled, handing the magazine back to his friends. It says here that he trashed all of Harjan's port. As the thugs continued to laugh and berate Fairy Tale, they failed to notice the menacing presence approaching behind them. The first thug was about to comment on an article about a mage named Lucy, but he stopped when an imposing shadow covered the entire table. Ah! What the hell do dash? The first thug stopped mid-sentence when he saw a large blonde-haired man with a lightning-shaped scar along his right eye towering over him. The thug's eyes shot wide open in fear when he immediately recognized who the menacing man was. Oh shit, be-book it, guys. That's Fairy Tale's Laxus. Oh fuck. The other two thugs yelled simultaneously, as they bolted out of the bar right behind their friend. Why is he in a dive bar like this? Who cares? Let's just get out of here. TCH, stupid weaklings. Laxus muttered, spotting the copy of the Weekly Sorcerer that the thugs had dropped. The large blonde-haired man glared at the magazine with barely disguised irritation. Good job showing off those embarrassing stunts, Ji-chan. Yahoo, ha ha ha. A sudden laughing caused Laxus to turn large ape-like man sitting near the back of the bar. You must be a real celebrity, clearing out the bar with a single glare. You've got some serious presence, man. You're Master Makarov's grandson, aren't ya? The ape-like man laughed as he pointed to the issue of the Weekly Sorcerer lying on the ground. What do you think of that? Are you proud of your grandpappy? 'Cause that shit is pretty pathetic if you ask me. The ape-like man smirked when Laxus shot him an annoyed glare. Oh ho, how scary. Zod, please start any trouble today. The bartender said weakly, as everyone else in the bar turned to watch what might unfold. Don't worry, there's no point in picking a fight with such a worthless guild. Zod laughed, slapping his hand onto his knee. Zod? Laxus said in an amused tone, as he quirked an eyebrow. Never heard that name before. Really, that's a shame. Zod said, a smirk slowly spreading across his face. But that's probably because we usually operate in the shadows. Not like you fools, acting like a bunch of idiots in magazines. Oh, it seems to me that you want to die today. Laxus said in a menacing tone, as lighting began to crackle off his body. I'd love to give you hand with that. Please sir. Please let this go. Zod is dash. Let's go outside, buddy. Laxus said, beckoning Zod towards the door. I don't want to get your blood all over this guy's bar. Yahoo! The one going outside, Zod said, as he suddenly cocked his fist back and tried to sucker punch Laxus. His dash, however, Zod was shocked when his attack was easily stopped by Laxus. The large blonde-haired man was expecting a sneak attack and had caught Zod's fist. The ape-like man hissed in pain, as Laxus slowly began to crush his hand. "You know, I really don't guys like you who fight dirty," Laxus said in a menacing tone, starting to apply some electricity into his grip. The bar was soon filled with sounds of Zod's screams of agony. Then all the onlookers winced when they heard the sickening sound of all the bones in Zod's hand breaking. The pain was so intense that it caused Zod to fall onto his knees. "PPP please man," Zod struggled to say through the pain and electricity coursing through his body. "JJJ just let me go. I be beg you." "Oh, you're begging now?" Laxus asked in a amused tone, crouching down in front of Zod. "But you were acting really tough a second ago. I guess that was all just an act." Laxus suddenly increased the amount of electricity he was pumping into Zod, causing the ape-like man to howl in pain. Then in an amazing display of strength, Laxus lifted Zod into the air and slammed him into the ground. Laxus smashed Zod into the ground so hard that the ape-like man crashed through the wooden floor into the basement below. "TCH, punks like you should learn to keep their big mouths shut. Holy shit. He defeated Zod so easily. No way. Who the hell is that guy? Pathetic." Laxus muttered, balling his fists in rage, veins bulging along his arms and forehead. "Since when did people look down upon my guild, old man?" Growling in irritation, Laxus stormed out of the bar, lightning sparking off his body. The next morning, Fairy Tale Guild Hall. Lucy hummed, as she scanned over all the available quests on the board. "Is there anything on here that I could handle by myself?" "By yourself?" Nab asked, quirking an eyebrow in surprise. "You're not going with Natsu, Urza, and the others?" "Unfortunately not this time," Lucy replied, as she grabbed a request and started to read it over. Not liking the details, she put the paper back onto the board. Gray and Juvia were assigned a mission by Master. Urza said she had some problems with her new armor. Sai and Natsu. Lucy was cut off by a long, pained groan from a nearby table. Turning around, the blonde celestial spirit mage spotted Natsu slumped over at the table he was sitting at, Happy by his side trying to entice him with a lit torch. "Come on, Natsu." Happy cheered, pushing a burning stick closer to the dual dragon slayer. "It's fire. You want to eat it?" "I've got no appetite, buddy," Natsu muttered weakly, as he clutched a hand over his stomach. "My stomach is doing fucking backflips right now. What the hell is wrong with him?" Nab asked, gesturing to the pink-haired dragon slayer. "I think he's finally starting to feel the effects of eating ether ion," Lucy replied, as she gazed at her mate with a hint of worry in her eyes. "He's been like this the past few days. Urza and I have tried to nurse him, but nothing seems to be working. When Natsu ate ether ion, it was basically like eating poison. His body must be just starting to react to it." "Ah, so that's why he can't take any jobs," Nab muttered, rubbing his chin. "That's a shame, you guys always looked so happy going on missions together." "Yeah, it really is fun," Lucy said with a small smile, before she released a light sigh. "But I have to find a job quick, because if I don't I won't be able to pay my rent this month." "Do you think you could help me, Nab?" "Sorry, Lucy, no can do," Nab replied, shaking his head. "I'm looking for some solo jobs as well." "I see," Lucy muttered, as she turned her attention back to the request board. "Now let's see what we have here. A monster hunter, no way I could do that by myself. A treasure hunt, no way, that won't be any fun by myself. Teaching at a magic school for kids, that sounds perfect for me." But when Lucy reached out to take to request, she was surprised when someone grabbed it before her. Turning around, Lucy was surprised to see that it was Gadjil who had snatched the request from her. Overcoming her initial surprise, Lucy huffed in annoyance and placed her hands on her hips. "Hey, wait a minute, Gadjil. I saw that first. Too bad, I've already taken it. Gadgil said, as he barely paid attention to Lucy. Find some other job. Can you even handle a job like that? Lucy questioned, slightly glaring at the Iron Dragon Slayer. Because you don't like you'd be very good with kids. Oi, listen here bunny girl. Gadgil growled in a frustrated tone, as he met Lucy's glare with one of his own. What missions I choose are none of your damn business. I don't care if you're salamanders, mate, if you don't back down now I will kick your ass. What? Lucy squeaked in shock, her face burning a dark shade of red. How do you know about Natsu and I? Are you joking? Gadgil asked in a disgusted tone, as he slung his pack over his shoulder. I don't think you and that knight could be making it more obvious. Anyone who knows anything about dragon slayers could tell. Your hair is a dead giveaway and you're not really trying to hide that mark on your neck. Lucy's face darkened even further in embarrassment, as she placed a hand over her mate Mark. Plus, you absolutely reek of salamander's scent. Gadgil made a face of disgust and wrinkled his nose. It's all over you and the knight, it's pretty fucking nasty. You guys must be humping like damned rabbits in heat or something. Steam was practically blowing out of Lucy's ears, the blonde celestial spirit mage sputtering and twiddling her thumbs. Now if that's all, I really need to get going. Hey! Lucy exclaimed, shaking her head and snapping out of her embarrassed stupor. The blonde celestial spirit mage growled in irritation and stomped her foot repeatedly. What about my job? That's totally not fair. TCH, he's such an arrogant bastard. Jet said, as he glared at Gadgil. Yeah, I can't stand him. Troy said, crossing his arms over his chest. Someone needs to teach that guy a lesson. He really is scary. Levi muttered, as she poked her head out from behind a pillar. Luchan really is brave to talk to him like that. Oi Natsu! Lucy yelled, violently shaking her mate to try and wake him up. Why didn't you say anything to that dick? Go and kick Gadgil's ass. Gadgil! Natsu exclaimed weakly, as he struggled to raise his head off the table. When you get back. I'm kicking the shit out of you for being mean to Luce. He's already gone, Natsu. Lucy said with a sweat drop, gently rubbing her mate's back. Well, at least you tried. Let's go home happy. I really feel like shit. Natsu muttered, as he slowly got out of his seat. Wait a second, Natsu, let's take a job together. Please. Lucy said, grabbing a hold of Natsu's scarf to stop him. I need your help to make rent. However, Natsu was so out of it that he barely heard Lucy. The dual dragon slayer continued to walk forward, his scarf unwrapping from around his neck. Bye, Luce. Natsu said with a yawn, as he waved to the blonde celestial spirit mage. I'm gonna go lie down for a bit. What? Lucy yelled, sitting on the ground with Natsu's scarf in her hands. Oh come on. 5 minutes later, Magnolia Park. Why did you guys call me out here? Gadgil asked in an annoyed tone, as he shoved his hands into his pockets. I've got a damn job to do, so make this quick. Job? This coming from the guy who completely trashed our guild. Jet growled, glaring daggers at the Iron Dragon Slayer. You couldn't go to any other guild to get missions? Troy asked, as he tightly balled his fists in anger. Do you have any shame? Man, you guys really can hold a grudge. Can't you guys just let that shit go and move on? Gadgil asked, slowly shaking his head. I'm trying to put what I did behind me and move forward with my life. Jet, Troy, please don't do this. Levi said meekly, as she poked her out from behind a nearby tree. I'm over it, really. Levi. Gadgil breathed out, feeling an ache in his chest when he frightened look in her eyes. Shit, she really is scared of me now. You just have to man up and apologize to her face to face. You just have to go for it, Gadgil. I believe that you can do it. Natsu's words rang loud and clear through Gadgil's mind. The Iron Dragon Slayer tightly clenched his fists and took a deep breath to calm himself. Alright, I just have to face her. I can't back down now. Making up his mind, Gajeel began to walk towards Levy, but he was stopped when Jet and Droy stood in his way. Would you two please move it? I've got something I need to say to the shrimp. Then you guys hassle me all you want. No fucking way. Jet snarled as he shoved Gajeel back. After what you did, we're not letting you anywhere near Levy. Yeah, get any closer and we're gonna have a real problem. Droy said, reaching to grab his sens. Please. Gajeel said, as he took a step towards Levy. I just need to say one thing. Give me a minute. Gajeel was cut off when he suddenly had to block an insanely fast attack from Jet. We said stay back, you bastard. Jet roared, taking another swing at Gajeel, which the Iron Dragon Slayer barely managed to deflect with his arm. Seed! Droy exclaimed, as he threw out a handful of his seeds. Knuckle plant! Droy's seeds instantly sprouted into dozens of fist-shaped vines. Gajeel was too busy handling Jet, so he was caught off guard by Droy's attack, the plants hitting him up into the air. Wing strike! Leaping into the air above Gajeel, Jet slammed his elbow into the Iron Dragon Slayer's back, sending him crashing into the ground. Levy watched the entire scene unfold, and despite everything Gajeel had did to her, she had to admit that she was worried about him. As Gajeel struggled to get back onto his feet, Jet and Droy stalked towards him. Oi! What's up with you? That can't be everything you've got. Droy said, not noticing that the air was filling with electricity. You were way tougher the last time we fought you. You being bullied, huh? A new voice said from behind Jet and Droy. Turning around, both men were surprised to see Laxus towering over them. So, this is the punk who demolished my guild. And that old bastard, he let you join our guild for some stupid reason? Laxus suddenly growled, as a massive amount of lightning sparked off his body. It's because of shit like this that we're looked down upon. Damn it! Gajeel howled in pain, as an extremely powerful bolt of lightning struck his body. The lightning coursed through Gajeel's entire body, but he couldn't help but notice that it didn't hurt nearly as much as Natsu's orange lightning. It's all your fault. Gajeel continued to roar in pain, as Laxus continued to bombard him with lightning. Stop it, Laxus! Jet exclaimed, watching as Gajeel collapsed onto his knees. You're going way too far, man. It doesn't matter how strong Laxus is. Droy said, as his entire body began to shake. He should still be able to fight back. Could it be that Gajeel was, from the start? Jet breathed out, a sudden realization striking him. He wanted us to recognize him as our Nakama. Levy said, tears forming in her eyes. So, he didn't fight back at all. It's all your fault that we're being made fun of. Laxus roared, as he kicked Gajeel in the stomach, knocking all the breath from his lungs. Why the hell don't you just die already? I'll destroy anyone who goes against Fairy Tail. Stop, goddammit! Jet exclaimed, preparing to jump and intervene. Laxus! Shut the hell up! Little weaklings like you should keep your damn mouths shut! Laxus yelled, as he fired a bolt of lightning at Jet and Droy. But, Laxus' blast of lightning went right between Jet and Droy, and instead was heading straight towards Levy. Levy! Gajeel thought, feeling his heart thunder in his chest. A sudden burst of strength exploded through Gajeel's body, and he moved without a second thought. Levy closed her eyes and raised her arms, preparing for the lightning to hit her. However, she was surprised when it never did. Cracking an eye open, Levy was shocked to see Gajeel standing in front of her, taking Laxus' attack square in the chest. Gajeel! Levy breathed out, as she cupped a hand over her mouth. Why did you? My body just kinda moved on its own. Gajeel said, falling down onto one knee, electricity still sparking off his body. Listen, Shrimp, what I was trying to say before, I'm sorry about destroying your guild. Levy's eyes shot open when Gajeel said this. And I'm sorry about hurting you like that. Gajeel then turned to Jet and Droy. You guys too, I'm sorry, what I did to you three was beyond awful. With a grunt, Gajeel slowly got back onto his feet and grabbed his pack. Well, that's all I wanted to say. Dragging his pack on the ground, Gajeel began to slowly walk away. If that's all, I've got a job to do. Gajeel. Levi said, as she reached out to the Iron Dragon Slayer. Wait dash. Don't worry about me. Gajeel said, continuing to limp away. This is what I deserve for hurting you. Ah shit. Jet muttered, as he released a heavy sigh. We really fucked up. Useless. Laxus thought, tightly balling fists as he walked away. Fairy tale, this isn't the guild I want. That night, Strawberry Street. Ah man, I really wish I could have found a good job. Lucy said with light sigh, as she walked along the edge of the canal, with Plu walking on the street next to her. Damn that Gajeel, taking my job like that. What the hell am I gonna do about rent this month? Releasing another sigh, Lucy looked down at the dragon scale scarf in her hand. So this is Natsu's scarf. The blonde celestial spirit mage brought the scarf up to her nose and sniffed it. A smile spread across her face when a familiar scent hit her nose. It smells just like him. Lucy then wrapped the scarf around her neck, immediately feeling a sense of comfort wash over her. It's so warm too. Spotting her apartment, Lucy hopped off the canal's edge. I guess I can return this when I see him tomorrow. I don't think he'll really mind if I hold on to it for one night. I'll even do him a favor and wash it. When Lucy reached the door to her room, she quickly poked her head in. Huh, no one's in here for once? That's quite a surprise. However, as Lucy walked into her apartment, she couldn't help but feel slightly saddened that no one was waiting for her. I'm so used to those just popping up in my room that it feels kinda lonely when they're not here. Well, I guess I should go take a bath. After taking a quick bath and brushing her teeth, Lucy wrote another letter to her mother. Once that was finished, the blonde celestial spirit mage released a tired yawn. I better get to bed. Lucy sighed lightly as she crawled into her bed. It's just not the same without Natsu here. But as soon as Lucy pulled up the covers, she realized that something was off. Her bed felt much warmer than usual, and it was a very familiar warmth. Quickly pushing the cover back, Lucy wasn't surprised to see that Natsu and Happy were asleep in her bed. A soft smile spread across Lucy's face, as she brushed some pink locks out of Natsu's eyes. So that's where you were? I couldn't shake the feeling that you were hiding in here somewhere. Ha? Natsu groaned, slowly opening his eyes and sitting up. Oh, yawn morning Luce. And just what do you guys think you're doing in my bed? Lucy asked with an amused smirk. I don't remember inviting you two over. Happy, you answer. Natsu mumbled, as his head fell back down onto the bed. It's no good, Luce's bed is just too comfortable. Well, we were halfway home and Natsu finally realized that his scarf was missing. Happy explained, rubbing the sleep out of his eyes. So we just stopped by to get it back. And while you two waited for me, you decided to take a nap in my bed. Lucy finished, as she got out of bed and grabbed Natsu's scarf, which she had finished washing earlier. The blonde celestial spirit mage hugged the scarf close to her chest one more time, before she walked back over to the bed. Here you go, Natsu. However, Natsu didn't take his scarf back, instead he let out a low, pained groan. Hey Happy, is Natsu okay? Aye. Happy replied, raising his paw. This happened to Natsu once before. That time, he ended up like this after he ate too much of Laxus lightning. Too much? Lucy repeated, as she quirked an eyebrow in confusion. Natsu can eat too much magic? Well, imagine Natsu's magic as a container. Happy explained, drawing a box in the air with his finger. If Natsu eats too much fire or lightning, that container can start to overflow, making him feel bloated and sick. Why did Natsu eat so much of Laxus lightning anyways? Lucy asked, which caused Happy to chuckle lightly. They were fighting, obviously. You've probably noticed, but Natsu isn't exactly on the best terms with Laxus. Happy replied, sitting down next to Lucy. Natsu and Laxus have been at each other's throats for years. Something about the lightning dragon slayer Lacrima in Laxus' body just rubs Natsu the wrong way. Every time Laxus is around, Natsu gets all on edge and eager to fight. But Natsu has never managed to beat Laxus. Is Laxus really that strong? Lucy muttered, as she looked down at her lap, clasping her hands together. It's hard to imagine someone being able to beat Natsu. I've seen him beat some truly strong opponents before. Laxus must be on another level. I'd wager that Laxus is the strongest person in the guild aside from Guildarts. Natsu is very strong as well, and he's grown a lot over the years, but Laxus still has a leg up on him. Happy explained, grabbing a hold of Natsu's scarf and holding it in his lap. Urza is very strong as well. Rumors have it that Mystigan is powerful too, and Mira used to be really scary. Everyone used to call her the demon. Yeah, Natsu mentioned that Mira used to be very different. Lucy said, as she chuckled lightly. But the way she is now, I can't imagine her as a demon. Sure, she likes to mess with people, but I don't think I'd call her a demon. You didn't know her when she was younger. Happy said, a shiver running down his spine. Anyways, I almost forgot about something. Happy grabbed his green pack off his back and began to rummage through. After a few moments he pulled out a folded-up piece of paper. Natsu wanted to show you this. You were saying that you were short on jewels, right? Well, Natsu spotted something when we were leaving the guild. He was really reluctant at first, but he knew how disappointed you were that you weren't able to go on a mission together. A job? Lucy asked, as she grabbed the slip of paper from Happy and began to unfold it. Well, not exactly. Happy said, rubbing the back of his head. Magnolia is hosting its annual Harvest Festival next week, and Fairy Tail is taking part in the celebrations this year. Flying up next to Lucy, Happy pointed towards a particular part of the paper. Look at the bottom right. It's a Miss Fairy Tail contest? Lucy exclaimed, as her eyes shot open in surprise. It's a beauty contest between all the women of Fairy Tail. The winner will get 500,000 jewels. Happy explained, causing Lucy's eyes to light up. 500,000? That would pay my rent for 7 months and still have a little bit left over. Lucy exclaimed, as her grip on the sheet of paper tightened. And this looks perfect for me. I know Mira and Kana will be participating, but I'm sure you'll still have a pretty good chance. Happy added, sitting back down next to Natsu. What? Mira too. Lucy exclaimed, as she tugged on her hair in frustration. That's not fair. She was a fucking pinup model. How the hell am I supposed to beat that? Why, you can do it, Luce. I believe in you. Natsu said in a pained voice, turning his head to give Lucy a weak grin and a thumbs up. Sure, Mira is beautiful, but you are too. I'm sure that if you give it your all that you can win. Thanks, Natsu. Lucy said, as she walked over to her mate and gave him a kiss on the forehead. All right. I'm gonna go all out for this contest. I'm gonna give Mira and all the other girls a run for their money. I'm gonna become Miss Fairy Tail no matter what. That's my girl. Go give em hell. Natsu muttered, rolling back over in the bed and falling asleep once again. Same time, northwest of Shiritsum Town, Dark Guild, Ghoul Spirit. Gah! Several ghoul spirit mages exclaimed, as they were blown back by a powerful explosion. You guys were making fun of us just now, weren't you? A feminine voice said, 3 figures appearing within the smoke and debris. You utter fools. The tallest of the 3 figures cackled. So ya bastards wanna fight? You're not getting out of this place alive. Yeah, we'll slaughter ya. Oh ho, a dark guild that cowers in the dark is trying to stand up to a righteous legal guild? The woman said, her face hidden behind a hand fan. A smirk spread across the woman's face, as she slowly raised her glasses. My oh my, what is the world coming to? The woman's eyes suddenly began to glow bright green, turning all the ghoul spirit mages in front of her to stone. The other ghoul spirit mages gasped in fear and slowly backed away from the 3 unknown assailants. What the hell was that? They all just turned to stone out of nowhere. What are you pussies doing just standing around? Man the hell up and get those bastards. Yeah. Get him! But before the ghoul spirit mages could rally together, several wooden dolls swooped in and began to attack them. The wooden dolls darted through the air, ramming into ghoul spirit mages and firing beams of magical energy at them. The room was soon filled with the pained screams of the ghoul spirit mages. That's quite enough, Bixlow, we don't want to kill them, a slim man with waist-length green hair said, as he emerged from the smoke. What are you talking about, Freed? Aren't there? Bixlow asked, scanning his surroundings. But he was surprised to see that all the ghoul spirit mages were already defeated. What the hell? It's already over? Man, these weaklings were hardly a challenge. A woman with short light brown hair said, as she nudged an unconscious ghoul spirit mage with her foot. I barely had to lift a finger. I agree, Evergreen, Freed said, walking through the maze of knocked out mages. I'm still amazed such a weak guild managed to exist. It's because they're so weak that they turn to illegal activities, Evergreen said in a haughty tone, as she fanned herself with her hand fan. This isn't enough. My babies still need to run wild, Bixlow exclaimed, stamping his foot in irritation. Well then, I think I have the perfect thing for you, Bixlow, Freed said, as he rested his hand on his sword, revealing a green fairy tale mark on top of his left hand. Oh, you're talking about Laxus, right? Evergreen said with a smirk, as she lowered her fan, a green fairy tale mark visible above her right breast. So the time has finally come? Oh, I've been waiting so fucking long for this. Bixlow laughed semi-crazily, sticking out his tongue, a black fairy tale mark hidden on his tongue. And my babies are ready to fuck some shit up too. It's time to finally head back home, Freed said, as he began to walk out of the partially destroyed building. To Fairy Tale. T3 people managed to wipe out all of Ghoul Spirit? But that long-haired guy didn't really do anything, so it was more like 2 people. There's not doubt, those guys were Laxus bodyguards, the Reijinshu. Same time, back in Magnolia. Doesn't Natsu usually help you with things like this? Makarov grumbled, carrying bags of supplies, as he walked next to Mira Jane. An old man shouldn't be carrying such heavy bags. Don't forget, Master, you still owe me for that little peeping incident a few weeks ago, Mira Jane said in a menacing tone, which caused Makarov's shoulders to stiffen. Fairy Tale's elderly master audibly gulped when he saw the sickly sweet smile on Mira Jane's face. I wonder how Natsu would react if he found out that I caught you peeping on Lucy, Urza, and I while we were bathing. And now don't be rash now, Mira-chan, Makarov said, chuckling nervously as sweat formed on his brow. He knew exactly how upset Natsu could get when someone messed with those 3 girls, and he didn't feel like evoking the Dragon Slayer's wrath and having to rebuild the guild once again. I'm happy to lend a hand. That's what I thought, Mira Jane said, her smile returning to its normal cheery form. I'm glad you're being so helpful, Master. Well, let's change the subject, Makarov muttered, glancing at all the bustling and working people around him. It looks like the whole town is in a festival mood. They sure are, Mira Jane said with a bright smile, as she waved to a group of workers. And everyone's working so hard to get Fantasia ready. Well, this year we're going to make this a parade the whole continent will remember for a long time, Makarov said, a grin spreading across his face. Master, are you upset that Laxus won't be joining in? Mira Jane said in a quiet tone, as she began to walk a little slower. She knew that discussing Laxus was a very touchy subject for Makarov, and decided to tread very carefully. After some of the things he's done the past few weeks, I can't say I'll miss him, and I know Natsu and some of the others won't be very worried, but he is your grandson. Please don't mention him, Makarov said with a heavy sigh, slowly shaking his head. That boy. It's just that, Levy told me that he's back in town, Mira Jane explained, causing Makarov's eyes to shot open in surprise. And that he got in a fight with Gajeel. Apparently Laxus hurt Gajeel pretty badly. Mira Jane stopped briefly when she saw the shocked look on Makarov's face. Master, is something wrong? To think this would happen now of all times, Makarov muttered, releasing another heavy sigh. Looking down at the ground, Makarov began to remember the times he would take Laxus to Fantasia parades when he was younger. How on earth did you end up like this, Laxus? 1 week later, Streets of Magnolia, Harvest Festival. Ugh, I still feel like shit. Natsu muttered, as he clutched a hand over his stomach. The dual dragon slayer stumbled down the street lined with performers and food stalls, his nakama trailing slightly behind him. It's festival time. Happy cheered, energetically flying around Natsu. Maybe if I eat delicious food until I'm full I'll start to feel better, Natsu said, as he struggled to keep his balance. Natsu still isn't feeling any better? Juvia asked, walking up next to Lucy. The water mage couldn't help but notice the worried look on Lucy's face. Is Natsu going to be alright? Juvia is starting to worry about him. I don't know, Lucy replied, as she slowly shook her head. He's been like that for the past week. But I suppose he's gotten a little better, because before he would hardly get out of bed. At least he's up and walking around now. Although it still looks like he's half dead. Oh, don't worry about Flame Brain, Gray said in an uninterested tone, gazing at lively festival around him with a bored look. Just let him be. Gray-sama, you should at least show a little concern for Natsu. He is your nakama after all. Juvia scolded, as she huffed and placed her hands on her hips. TCH, whatever. Gray muttered, turning his head away from Juvia and shoving his hands in his pockets. Where did that come from? Lucy thought, as she stared at Juvia in surprise. I know that Natsu said Juvia was one of his potential mates, and I'm pretty she has some feelings for him too. But she's been all over Gray for the past few weeks. I didn't think she had it in her to talk back to him like that. Well, good for her, maybe she'll start to open her eyes and realize that the perfect guy is right in front of her. Anyways, this place sure is crowded, Juvia said, wanting to ease the slight tension that formed between her and Gray. Juvia has never seen Magnolia so full of life. I didn't know this town even had this many people, Lucy said, taken aback by the sheer amount of people that had flooded the streets since the festival had started. It's because of the Fantasia parade, Gray explained, pointing towards a group of people preparing a parade float. People come from all over Fiore to see it. Oh, I have to see it now, Lucy cheered, as she clapped her hands together. Just then a sudden realization struck Lucy. Oh shit. The Miss Fairy Tale contest is going to start any minute. Then like a bolt of lightning, Lucy took off sprinting towards the guild hall. My rent is on the line. Natsu's actually okay with Lucy participating in that? Gray asked no one in particular, quirking his eyebrow in surprise. That's news to me. He usually gets super pissed when guys gawk at her, or any girl he's close to. Juvia absolutely won't lose to Lucy, Juvia exclaimed, as a fiery determination burned in her ocean blue eyes. Juvia will show Gray-sama that she's the perfect woman. And Natsu will congratulate Juvia and shower her with praise. You're gonna participate too? Gray asked, releasing a light sigh. I have a feeling this is gonna be a long day. 5 minutes later, Fairy Tale Guild Hall. Citizens of Magnolia Town. And citizens from all across Fiore. Max exclaimed into his microphone, which caused a chorus of cheers from the large crowd gathered around the guild hall's main stage. I know this is the moment you have all been waiting for. The beauties of Fairy Tale will perform on this very stage. Let's get this show on the road. Your MC on this fine afternoon will be I, the mage who controls sand, Max Allure. Oi Flame Brain, are you sure you're alright with Lucy and Urza doing this? Gray asked, sitting next to the pink-haired dragon slayer. Because you look like a fucking mess right now. I'm okay, I'm totally fine, Natsu said in between bites of food, as his brow slightly twitched. It's their decision, and I'm not gonna force them to stop, so yeah, I'm right as rain. Damn, it looks like he's about to explode, Gray thought, watching Natsu rapidly tap his foot and dart his gaze around the guild hall. Now let me introduce our first contest, Max exclaimed, as the stage suddenly became engulfed in light, revealing a voluptuous brunette. Miss Kana Alberona. What a stunner! Kana gave the crowd a sultry wink, before blowing them a kiss. The entire crowd burst into cheers, all the men doing their best to crowd around the stage. Reaching into her bag, Kana pulled out a stack of cards. The card mage then scattered the stack of cards into the air, swirling around her entire body. Whoa! The cards seemed to be covering up her body. Moments later the cards dispersed, revealing that Kana was now dressed in a skimpy striped swimsuit. Wow! She changed into an amazing swimsuit. How'd you like that little show, Natsu? Kana thought with a smirk, briefly locking eyes with the pink-haired dragon slayer. The brunette card mage's smirk widened when she noticed that Natsu seemed to be entranced by her performance, his eyes firmly locked onto her. Giving Natsu a quick wink, Kana made her way off the stage, feeling a great sense of accomplishment. I may not win this contest, but I did get Natsu to notice me. That's a win in my book. Was that directed at me? Natsu thought in slight confusion, as he watched Kana walk off the stage, his eyes firmly locked on her beautiful ass. But damn, that was a nice show. Kana really fills out that bikini nicely. A bikini? That's totally not fair. Lucy hissed, slightly glaring at the brunette card mage. I'm really gonna have to step up my game now. I see. Urza said, as she suddenly appeared next to Lucy. That's a very valid tactic. Kia! Lucy exclaimed in surprise, recoiling away from the scarlet-haired knight. Urza! When did you get here? Wait! You're competing as well. Well, I couldn't let you hog all the spotlight. Urza said with a smirk, as she rested her fists on her hips. Plus, I can't help but get fired up whenever there's a competition, huh? I guess Natsu has been rubbing off on me. My rent money. Lucy thought, hanging her head in defeat. It's getting farther and farther away. All right. Now it's time for our next contestant. Max cheered, as he gestured to the opposite end of the stage. It's our newest possible S-rank member, the woman who has control over water at her fingertips, the beautiful Juvia Loxer. Hello everyone. Juvia yelled with a large smile, appearing on the stage in a wave of water. The water mage's unique entrance earned her a large applause from the audience. Juvia's smile changed to a smirk when she spotted Grace sitting at a table near the back of the crowd. Let's see how Grace-sama likes this. Thanks for the idea, Kana-san. Then suddenly, just like she appeared on stage, Juvia's entire body transformed into a surge of water. The crowd seemed to love Juvia's act, because their cheers and applause only grew louder. Then all at once the water dispersed, showing that Juvia had changed into a purple polka-dotted bikini. Grace-sama, are you watching? However, Juvia's heart sank a little when she saw that Gray wasn't paying attention at all. The ice mage seemed more interested in pestering the pink-haired dragon slayer that was sitting next to him, instead of her performance. Despite being slightly disappointed that Gray wasn't looking at her, Juvia's face couldn't help but flush bright red when she saw how Natsu was looking at her. The dual dragon slayer's eyes were wide in awe, and his mouth slightly agape, as if he was staring at the most beautiful thing in the world. Juvia quickly bowed and thanked the audience in an embarrassed tone, before she ran off the stage, her heart racing in her chest. Leaning against a wall behind the main stage, Juvia clutched a hand over her thundering heart. Why was Natsu staring at Juvia like that? Juvia wishes Grace-sama would look at her with such passionate eyes. Juvia thought, as she tried to calm her rapidly beating heart. However, this failed when she remembered the look on Natsu's face. The way he was looking at Juvia was the way a man looks at the woman he loves. But why would he look at Juvia like that? Does Natsu have feelings for Juvia? Poking her head out from behind the curtain, Juvia once again spotted the pink-haired dragon slayer. Lucy did mention that Natsu's magic is driving him to take multiple mates. Does that mean Natsu wants to make Juvia one of his mates? Juvia's blush returned in full force at the prospect of being in such an intimate relationship with the pink-haired dragon slayer. Lucy and Urza seemed so happy despite having to share the man they love, and Juvia would be lying if she said she hadn't thought of being in that type of relationship with Natsu, especially when Juvia was younger, but now Juvia has these feelings for Grace-sama. Juvia returned to the backstage and hung her head, tightly balling her fists. But no matter how hard Juvia tries, Gray-sama won't look her way, and it's starting make Juvia depressed. Then Natsu was there to compliment Juvia and make her smile again. Juvia is just so confused right now. Should she continue to pursue Gray-sama, or give up and give Natsu a chance? Juvia needs time to think, time to sort things out in her heart. During that time Juvia will still go after Gray-sama, but she'll also start opening her heart to other options. That was a great performance from the beautiful Juvia Loxer. But now it's time for our third contestant. Max exclaimed, the lights focusing on the center of the stage. A gorgeous woman I'm sure you've all been dying to see. Her beauty could make you drunker than the world's strongest alcohol. Give it up for Fairy Tale's lovely barmaid, Mara Jane Strauss. The crowd erupted into deafening cheers as Mara Jane strolled onto the stage in a skin-tight leopard print dress. Natsu's eyes never left Mara Jane while she made her way to the center of the stage. The dual dragon slayer looked the busty white-haired barmaid from head to toe several times, appreciating how the dress hugged her body and showed off her voluptuous curves. God, Mira is beautiful. Natsu thought with a small smile as he rested his head on his palm. However, Natsu could feel his annoyance rising as he listened to the men in the crowd hoot and catcall at Mira Jane. The pink-haired dragon slayer had to bite his tongue and tightly grip the table to keep himself from silencing the rude bastards with a swift punch to the jaw. Myra's a big girl, she can handle a couple assholes ogling her, she doesn't need me to protect her right now, I just need to calm down a little. Hello? Thank you all so much for coming. Mira Jane cheered with a bright smile, energetically waving to the crowd. I'm very skilled in transformation magic, and I like to demonstrate it for you all. First I'll start off with. Humming as she scanned through the crowd, Mira Jane's eyes lit up when she spotted the perfect target. Full body transformation. Happy version. Everyone in the crowd was shocked when Mira Jane's head suddenly changed into a perfect copy of Happy's. The crowd seemed to be quite confused by the strange choice, aside from Happy and Natsu, who were laughing hysterically. Next. Mira Jane smirked when she spotted a grumpy-looking Iron Dragon Slayer hiding near the back of the guild hall. That's the perfect face. Godjiel. The Iron Dragon Slayer perked up when he heard his name called. But Godjiel's eyes shot open and did a literal spit take when he saw that Mira Jane's head had changed into an exact copy of his. Oi! That isn't funny. Godjiel exclaimed, as he slammed his fist onto the table, his face flushed red in embarrassment. No, it's fucking hilarious. Natsu roared in laughter, wiping a tear from his eye. Great job, Mira. What's Mira doing? Lucy thought, as she stared at the white-haired barmaid in surprise. The blonde celestial spirit mage saw how confused most of the crowd looked, and couldn't understand what Mira Jane was planning. Mira probably had the best chance of winning this, but she's kinda shooting herself in the foot right now. Don't worry so much, Lucy. Mira Jane thought, spotting the blonde celestial spirit mage out of the corner of her eye. I'm doing this to help increase your chances of winning. I overheard that you need this money to help pay for your rent. Besides, I didn't even really want to compete this year. But... A sudden devious smirk spread across the white-haired barmaid's face. I can't have Juvia and Kana flaunting for Natsu and showing me up. I've got to put on a good show too before I leave the stage. I've got one more transformation for you all. Mira Jane cheered as her head changed back to normal. It's an extra special transformation for the man in my heart. This exclamation piqued the crowd's interest, most of the men furious that some guy had already stolen Mira Jane's heart. Try not to get too jealous. Now this got Natsu's attention right away. The pink-haired dragon slayer immediately locked eyes with Mira Jane, the white-haired barmaid winking when their eyes met. What's she planning? Natsu thought, quirking an eyebrow in confusion. She was definitely talking to me, right? The dual dragon slayer's train of thought was cut off when Mira Jane's body suddenly became cloaked in thick white smoke. As the smoke began to dissipate, Natsu could faintly make out Mira Jane's form through the remaining fog. The white-haired barmaid appeared to laying on her side, resting her head on her palm. When the smoke fully dispersed, Natsu's, along with every man in the crowd, eyes shot open in shock. Mira Jane was laying on the stage with a mischievous smile on her face, now dressed in a skimpy white bikini. The bikini's top could barely contain Mira Jane's impressive bust, which was threatening to burst out of the swimsuit at any moment. That's. Natsu thought, as his mind started to go blank, continuing to drink in Mira Jane's miraculous figure. How did she know? Heh, looks like my little plan worked. Mira Jane thought with a satisfied smirk, watching Natsu stare back at her with glazed-over eyes. I'm glad I snooped around Natsu's house a little last time I was there. Because I was able to find his stash of weekly sorcerer magazines. All of them had pin-ups of Urza and I, and his favorite pin-up of me was when I wore this bikini while in this pose. Thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed my show. Mira Jane cheered, as she practically skipped off the stage, the crowd roaring in approval of her final performance. I need a minute to cool down. Natsu thought, laying his head down onto the table. Too much stimulation at once. Wow! What an interesting performance. It had a rocky start, but what a fantastic ending! Max exclaimed, as he walked back onto the stage. Now it's time for our fourth contestant. The strongest woman in fairy tale. The incredible Titania, Queen of the Fairies. Urza Scarlet. The scarlet-haired slowly strolled to the center of the stage, her composure cool and collected. The crowd seemed almost as excited for Urza as they were for Mira Jane, if the cheers and clapping were any indication. There she is. It's Urza. She's so cool. Man, she's so graceful and dignified. Lucy muttered in awe, watching Urza take center stage, all lights now on her. I'll let you all witness. Urza said, as her body became cloaked in bright white light. The re-equip that I'd been saving for a special occasion. When the light died down, the crowd began to holler and catcall. The scarlet-haired knight had, like the contestant before her, re-equipped into a bikini. However, Urza's bikini featured blue flame patterns, which wasn't missed by Natsu. Urza's re-equip was definitely a hit with the crowd, especially with a certain pink-haired dragon slayer. Oh, I'm gonna love stripping that off you tonight, Urza. Natsu thought with a smirk, thinking of all the naughty things he was going to do to his knight. Ha, looks like I've won this. Urza said with a confident smile, as she walked off the stage, brushing past a very flustered blonde celestial spirit mage. Don't worry, Lucy, if I win I'll share the prize money with you. Patting Lucy on the shoulder, Urza began to walk backstage. We're family now, right? So we've got to help each other out. Thanks, Urza, I really appreciate that. Lucy said with a small smile, before she returned to watching the performances. But I intend to win this thing. The next two contestants were Levy and Biska, but neither girl was as daring as the contestants before them. Levy had used her solid script to put on a beautiful display, creating words made out various materials. The crowd certainly enjoyed Levy's cute performance, especially a particular Iron Dragon Slayer, who stared at the petite girl with a faint blush on his face. After Levy was Biska, who used her gun magic to perform several impressive trick shots, which awed the crowd, especially Alzak. Once Biska's act was finished, it was finally Lucy's turn to take the stage. Alright. Now it's time for our seventh contestant. Give it up for our rookie. Lucy's eyes shot open when she realized that Max was about to reveal her last name. In the blink of an eye, Lucy darted across the stage and slapped a hand over Max's mouth. Don't say my last name, Lucy exclaimed, her face bright red in embarrassment. The crowd seemed quite confused by Lucy's odd display, but the men did find Lucy very attractive. It'll be trouble if people find out who my family is. With a nervous smile, Lucy grabbed her celestial gate keys. I have a special dance with my celestial spirits that I want to show you all. Give hell loose. I know you can do it. Natsu thought with a toothy, giving his lover a thumbs up. Spotting Natsu in the crowd, Lucy felt a sudden surge of confidence. Lucy took a calming breath to slow her racing heart. Okay. Open gate dash. Contestant number 8 is here. Lucy's performance was stopped before it could even start when a new voice spoke up from behind her. "Hey, I didn't even have a chance to start," Lucy whined as she turned to the person behind her. The blonde celestial spirit mage was prepared to chew Max out for interrupting her, but she was surprised to see a woman she had never seen before standing behind her. "If you want talk about fairies, then you're talking about me," the mysterious woman said, strolling past Lucy, completely ignoring the fuming blonde. "If you talk about beauty, then that's me." "That's right, it's all me. TH champion will most certainly be me, Evergreen. So end the beauty contest here, before it gets too boring." "Geez, someone's sure full of themselves," Lucy thought with a sweat drop. "Evergreen!" Gray exclaimed, his eyes shooting open in surprise. "When did she get back?" Elfman asked, as he tightly balled his fists. "I'm not gonna let this bitch ruin my performance," Lucy thought, storming over to Evergreen. "Oi! Quit playing around. Who do you think you are, ruining my act like that? This contest concerned my living, you know." "Luce!" Natsu shouted as he shot out of his seat. "Don't look her in the eyes." "What?" Lucy said, but Natsu's warning had come too late. The blonde celestial spirit mage had already locked eyes with Evergreen. "Did you say something, little girl?" Evergreen asked, lifting up her glasses, as her eyes began to glow. Before Lucy even had a chance to react, she had been turned into stone. "What the hell is this?" That blonde chick was turned to stone. "This is a performance, right? This is awful," Max exclaimed, as made arrows out of sand to point to the exits. "Everybody get out of the guild hall now." "What are you doing, Evergreen?" Makarov asked, making his way towards the main stage. "Are you trying to ruin the festival?" "Well, a festival needs a main show," Evergreen said with a smirk, just as the main curtain lifted off the ground, revealing that all the other contestants in the pageant had been turned to stone as well. "She turned everyone in the waiting room into stone as well," Max exclaimed in shock, as he took a fearful step away from Evergreen. "Just what the hell is going on here?" "You fool!" Makarov exclaimed in fury, a vein bulging on his forehead. "Change them, dash! Evergreen!" Natsu roared, as he slammed his fist onto the table, smashing it to pieces in a single strike. "Change everyone back to normal. Now!" "They got Levy too," Gajiel thought, gritting his teeth in anger. "They're gonna pay for this." "Sorry, but I can't do that," Evergreen said with a smirk, as she rested her hand on a petrified Mirajane's shoulder. "You'll just have to be patient, Natsu." "I'm not going to repeat myself again, Evergreen," Natsu warned, the air around him starting to crackle with orange electricity. "Change them back." Suddenly a massive amount of intense orange lightning exploded off Natsu's body, causing those around him to back away. "Now!" Just then a bolt of lightning struck the stage next to Evergreen. Natsu immediately recognized who it was, and his anger increased even further. "Oi! Fairy tale idiots!" Laxus said with a smirk, the rest of the Regentia standing behind him. "This is where the real festival begins." "Laxus!" Makarov exclaimed, his eyes wide in shock. "Why don't we play a little game?" Laxus said, as he crouched on the stage in front of Makarov. "Old man? Don't start anything, stupid boy. We have to start preparing for Fantasia soon," Makarov said, glaring at his grandson. "Turn everyone back to normal. Fantasia isn't until late at night," Laxus said, as he stood back up. "If we hurry, people might be able to see it." Just then Laxus snapped his fingers, and a bolt of lightning crashed into the ground next to Lucy. "Stop it!" Makarov roared, tightly balling his fists. "Are you insane?" By now Natsu was seeing red, his anger way past the breaking point. The pink-haired dragon slayer's breath was ragged and his heart hammered in his chest. It took all of Natsu's willpower to stop himself from rushing onto the stage and tearing Laxus limb from limb. But with all the girls still turned to stone, Natsu had to be careful or they'd be hurt. I'm taking these girls hostages, Laxus said with a smirk, as he wrapped an arm around Lucy's neck, which caused Natsu to snarl in fury. I'll destroy them one by one if you idiots break the rules. Like I said, this is the main event. There are things that can't be taken as jokes, Laxus. Makarov growled through grit teeth. You're taking this too far. Oh, but I'm very serious, Laxus said, as he walked back to center stage. We're gonna have a game to see who's the strongest in Fairy Tail. The last man standing wins. The battle for Fairy Tail starts now. Alright, you son of a bitch, Natsu roared, orange lightning once again exploding off his body, as he glared daggers at Laxus. I've been promising you an ass-kicking for a long time, Laxus, and it's about time I deliver. Hold on, Salamander, Gadgil said, as he walked up next to Natsu. The pink-haired dragon slayer turned to tell Gadgil off, but he stopped when he saw the look on the Iron Dragon Slayer's face. I've got a bone to pick with this asshole too. So I'm not gonna let you have all the fun. Okay, you can back me up, Gadgil, Natsu said, turning back to glare at Laxus. You hear that, Laxus? Me and Gadgil are coming for you. By the end of today we'll know who the strongest Lightning Dragon Slayer is. This battle doesn't end until there's only one lightning dragon left standing. Chapter 33, Trapped. Alright, you son of a bitch, Natsu roared, orange lightning exploding off his body, as he glared daggers at Laxus. I've been promising you an ass-kicking for a long time now, Laxus, and it's about time that I deliver. Hold on, Salamander, Gadgil said, as he walked up next to Natsu. The pink-haired dragon slayer turned around to tell Gadgil off, but he stopped when he saw the look in the Iron Dragon Slayer's eyes. I've got a bone to pick with this asshole too. So I'm not gonna let you have all the fun. Okay, you can back me up, Gadgil, Natsu said, turning back around to glower at Laxus. You hear that, Laxus? Me and Gadgil are coming for you. By the end of today we'll know who the strongest Lightning Dragon Slayer is. This battle doesn't end until there's only one lightning dragon left standing. Heh, you're always up for a good time, aren't ya, Natsu? Laxus asked with a cocky smirk, as he crossed his arms over his chest. That's one of the few things I've always liked about you, Natsu, Makarov said quietly, walking up next to the pink-haired dragon slayer. Are you sure about this? Laxus is different from most of the opponents you faced, so he's incredibly strong. This has been a long time coming, Ji-chan, and I've grown stronger as well, Natsu said, as he tightly balled his fists. There's no denying that, Makarov said, lowering his head as a small smile spread across his face. You've grown so much in such a short amount of time. Besides, Natsu said, as he flashed Makarov a toothy grin. This is a festival, right? Punching his fist into his palm, Natsu charged towards the stage, orange lightning crackling with every step he took. Let's go! I've got your back, Salamander, Gadgil exclaimed, following closely behind the dual dragon slayer. Let's kick this bastard's ass. I wouldn't be too hasty if I were you, Natsu, Laxus said with a twisted smile, as he pointed a sparking finger at Lucy, who was still encased in stone. One wrong move and I'll waste this blonde bimbo, then all the other girls. Loose, Natsu exclaimed, skidding to a halt right in front of the stage. The pink-haired dragon slayer's eyes were alight with fury, as he glared up at Laxus. Don't you lay a fucking finger on her. I know that this broad is special to you, Natsu, Laxus said with a smirk, as he crouched down to get face to face with Natsu. I bet it's just killing you that you can't save her now, isn't it? Hurt Lucy, or any of the girls? Natsu growled, fighting every urge to leap onto the stage and murder Laxus. And I swear to you, that I will tear off your arm and beat you to death with it. Oh ho, aren't you scary? Laxus taunted, as he stood back up and back over to where Lucy was. But as long as I have these girls hostage you can't do shit, Natsu. Now, why don't you kneel down and listen to the rules of the little game we have planned? Fuck you, Natsu roared, slamming his electrified fist onto the stage. "Let the girls go and fight me like a man." "You better calm down, Natsu," Laxus warned in a serious tone, as he pointed his sparking hand at Lucy. "Because I'm not playing around." "You son of bitch," Natsu snarled, begrudgingly kneeling down in front of the stage. "You better pray I'm not the one who fights you. And order your lackey to back down as well," Laxus ordered, as he glared at Gajeel. "Oi, I ain't Salamander's dash. Or do you think you're fast enough to save her this time?" Laxus asked, as he moved his electrified hand from Lucy to Levi. Gajeel's eyes shot open in a mixture of rage and worry. "Stand down, Tin Man." "Gajeel," Natsu said, turning his head to look at the Iron Dragon Slayer. "Just do as he says for now. If we make any stupid moves, he'll hurt all the girls up there, and we can't let that happen. I don't like this situation, but we'll just have to take this bastard down when the time comes." "God damn it," Gajeel growled as he kneeled down next to Natsu. "I'm going to kill this motherfucker." "Good, I'm glad to see you're both compliant little dogs," Laxus taunted, before he walked back towards the other members of the Reijinshu. Evergreen explained the rules to everyone. "Listen up, everyone, because I'm going to explain this once," Evergreen said, making her way to center stage. "If you want to free all these lovely ladies, you'll have to defeat us first. There's only 4 of us and almost 100 of you. I'd say you guys have quite the advantage, no?" Raising her hand into the air, Evergreen held up 3 fingers. "The time limit shall be 3 hours. If you cannot defeat us all before the time limit, the girls shall be reduced to sand." This earned several outcries from various guild members. "I won't let that happen," Natsu thought, as he tightly balled his fists. "I'll take them all down if I have to. The battlefield will include all of Magnolia," Evergreen explained with a smirk, resting her hands on her hips. "The moment any of you finds us, the battle begins. Don't you brats screw with me," Makarov roared, as he grew to the size of a small house. "I will not dash." "I thought I told you all to calm down, didn't I?" Laxus asked with a smug smirk, just as a blinding white light filled the entire guild hall, making everyone shield their eyes. "Let's all enjoy the festival. Let the Battle of Fairy Tale begin." When the light died down, Laxus and the Reijinshu had vanished. "That absolute moron," Makarov said in an irritated then, as he shrunk down to his normal size. "He has no idea what he's doing." Fairy Tale's master turned to glance at Natsu and Gajeel, both dragon slayers now back onto their feet, looking red to kill. "He's just incurred the wrath of 2 dragons. Rah! I've gotta save Nachon and the others." Elfman roared, charging through the guild's front doors, a mob of his guildmates following after him. "Biska!" Alzak said underneath his breath, as he stared at the petrified cowgirl. "I will definitely save you, no matter what." "That damn brat," Makarov said, releasing a heavy sigh as he walked towards the guild's entrance. "I guess I'll have to teach him a lesson before Natsu and Gajeel kill him." However, Makarov was stopped dead in tracks when he ran face first into an invisible wall blocking the guild's entrance. "What the hell? What the hell are you doing, Ji-chan? Trying to be a mime or something?" Gray asked, as he walked over to where Makarov was. "Because this isn't really the time. If you have time to be a smartass, then help me," Makarov exclaimed, pushing against the invisible barrier that was blocking his path. "I cannot go on any further. There's some kind of invisible wall." "What the hell are you on about, you senile old man?" Gray yelled, as he put his hand through the barrier that was supposedly blocking Makarov. "I don't see any barrier here, and look, my hand went right through." "Well, you wouldn't be able to see an invisible barrier, you idiot," Makarov grunted, continuing to push against the wall that was blocking him. "Just shut your trap and help me. TCH, whatever," Gray muttered, as he grabbed Makarov's waist and tried to pull him forward. However, Gray was surprised when he wasn't able to pull Makarov past the guild's front doors. "What the hell is this shit?" You weren't kidding, Ji-chan. I know, not let go of me. Makarov exclaimed, slapping Gray's hands away. When Makarov looked back up after dusting himself off, he was surprised to see writing floating in the middle of the doorway. Makarov's eyes widened when he recognized the inscriptions. These are Freed's enchantments. Enchantment? Gray parroted in a confused tone, as he quirked an eyebrow. Yes, it's in the form of a barrier. Makarov muttered, stroking his chin as he continued to inspect the words. Enchantments are a form of magic placed upon a location, designed to trap someone once they step inside its boundaries. The enchantment has to inscribed in these robed letters all around the guild hall. Those who stray within the enchantment are placed under certain rules, and if they're not followed, escape is impossible. Walking back up to the barrier, Makarov pointed to a specific set of letters. Look here, boy. It says, rule, those above the age of 80, and stone statues, may not pass. Which is why I'm not allowed to leave the guild. It take quite a while inscribe an enchantment this extensive, which means it's practically useless in combat, but a very effective trap. What the hell is up with this cheap magic? Gray yelled, as his eyes widened. It's like some little brat saying, because I said so, and it's actually working. Can't you destroy this barrier or something? I mean, come on. I'm afraid to say that an enchantment's rules are absolute. Makarov said, slowly shaking his head. And this specific barrier encompasses both age and substance. Damn you, Freed, when did you learn to create such powerful enchantments? So in other words, that bastard never intended to let you participate in this fight, he's a sneaky one. Gray said, as he grit his teeth in irritation. Well, I guess we have not other chose, we'll just have to give it our best shot. Wait. Gray! Makarov exclaimed, pounding on the invisible barrier. I'm not gonna show that bastard any mercy just cause he's your grandson. Gray said, as he took off running towards the center of Magnolia. I'm gonna take Laxus down. What the hell is Laxus thinking? Makarov thought, lowering his head. He may be a stubborn idiot, but his strength is the real deal. Is there anyone who can stop him? Turning around, Makarov gazed at the petrified girls on the stage, focusing specifically on a certain scarlet-haired knight. Urza could definitely stand a chance, but with things the way they are now. Makarov then turned his attention Natsu and Gajeel, both dragon slayers staring at the stone-encased maidens. Gajeel is very strong, but I don't think he's strong enough to handle Laxus on his own, and Natsu has grown tremendously over the past few months, but is really powerful enough to handle Laxus now? Maybe if both of them were to work together. Just then, Makarov noticed something out of the corner of his eye. Peeking his head out from behind the guild's front doors was Ritas. I am sorry, master. Ritas apologized, as he hung his head in shame. It's just that, I'm really scared of Laxus. Ritas. Good, you're still here. Makarov exclaimed, an idea popping into his head. You know where Porly Yusuka lives in the eastern forest, right? Ritas simply nodded his head in response. She may have some type of medicine to cure petrification. Can you go speak to her for me? Right. I'm on it. Ritas said, before her ran out of the guild hall. Alright, I think we've stood around long enough, Salamander. Gajeel said, placing a strong hand on Natsu's shoulder. I know you don't want to leave your mates here, I sure as shit don't want to leave Levi while she's in this state, but we can't set them free unless we beat these assholes. You're right, it's time we head out. Natsu said, as he took one last look at the petrified girls on the stage. Don't worry, Lucy, Urza, Juvia, and Mira. I will save you all. Turning away from stage, Natsu made his way towards the guild's entrance, with Gajeel right at his side. Natsu cracked his knuckles, a fierce look in his eyes. Let's get out there and kick Laxus a Natsu was cut off mid-sentence when he and Gajeel simultaneously slammed face-first into an invisible barrier. Both dragon slayers fell onto their asses, clutching their sore noses. Ow. What the fuck is this? Why the fuck can't we walk through this damn door? Gajeel roared, charging into the invisible barrier with his shoulder. I've got some serious fucking frustration I need to vent, and Lax's face is the perfect punching bag. Calm down, you idiots. Makarov exclaimed, as he slapped Natsu and Gajil upside the head. There's a barrier surrounding the guild, but it is strange that it's keeping you two trapped here. It's only supposed to work on stone statues and those over 80 years old. That's a load of bull, I sure as shit ain't over 80. Gajil exclaimed, huffing and crossing his arms over his chest. Maybe this barrier is defective or something. Well, for whatever reason you two are stuck here. Makarov muttered, as he stroked his chin. This situation just keeps getting more frustrating by the moment. Sorry Ji-chan, but I can't just sit around on my ass and let all the others fight. Natsu said, walking back up to the guild's front door. Coating his arm in searing blue flames, Natsu cocked his fist back. I'm busting through this damn barrier. Then I'm gonna kick the shit out of Laxus. Wait, you idiot. There's no way. Makarov's warning was too late and Natsu had intention of listening to him. The pink-haired dragon slayer's flame-coated fist launched forward. Natsu's flaming fist collided with the barrier and sent out a small shockwave. But just as Makarov had predicted, the barrier seemed completely fine. See, I told Dash. Once again Makarov was cut off when Natsu let a roar of defiance, increasing the amount of flames coursing off his arm. As Natsu continued to push against the barrier, Makarov's eyes widened when he spotted several thin cracks starting to spread outwards from where Natsu's fist was hitting. I don't believe it, he's actually breaking Fried's enchantment? Just how strong has Natsu become? The cracks slowly began to further extend outwards, growing larger in size. Eventually the cracks filled the entire doorway, and it seemed like Natsu was actually going to destroy the barrier. But the dual dragon slayer was expending magic far too quickly and he was rapidly losing steam. Moments later the flames around Natsu's arm began to die down, before burning out completely. Standing on shaky legs for a few moments, Natsu eventually collapsed to the ground, panting heavily and covered in sweat. God damn it, I almost had it. Natsu struggled to say, catching his breath. You alright, Salamander? Gajil asked, as he crouched down next to Natsu. 'Cause you look like shit right now. Yeah, I just used way too much magic too quickly. Natsu said, wiping the sweat off his brow and slowly getting back onto his feet. However, Natsu stumbled and almost fell back down, but he was caught by Gajil. The Iron Dragon Slayer lifted Natsu up and helped him over to a nearby table. With a huff Natsu plopped down onto the seat. Thanks Gajil. Don't mention it, Salamander. Gajil said, as he sat on top of the table next to the Natsu. But that was pretty damn impressive, you almost smashed through that barrier. Yeah, but it looks like it was all for nothing. Natsu muttered, watching as the barrier quickly repaired itself, the cracks disappearing entirely. I'll give it to Fried, that is one tough fucking barrier. Same time, unknown location within Magnolia. BWAH. Fried panted, as sweat dripped off his brow. The green-haired member of the Reijinsha clutched his head, as he experienced a severe headache. Damn it! What's wrong, Fried? Evergreen asked, placing a hand on the green-haired man's shoulder. You started acting weird all of a sudden. Are you in pain? Someone almost broke through my barrier. Fried said in between breaths, which shocked both Evergreen and Bixlow. How can that be possible? Evergreen exclaimed, her eyes widening. The only ones who should still be in the guild are Makarov and those petrified girls. I don't know myself, but it took all my strength to keep that barrier intact. Fried said, as he slowly shook his head. But I do know that whoever tried to break through my barrier must be incredibly powerful. Same time, with Alzak, Jet, and Droy. Did you find anything, Alzak? Jet exclaimed, running up to the cowboy, with Droy trailing right behind him. I haven't found shit. Alzak replied, as he stomped his foot in frustration. How about you guys? We haven't found a trace. Droy answered, shaking his head. Ragh. Those bastards. I'll never forgive Laxus and those other assholes for doing that to Biska. Alzak yelled, as he kicked over a stack of crates. "Oi, calm down, Alzak," Droy said, trying to quell the cowboy's anger. "How the hell can I calm down?" Alzak shot back, as he whipped around to face Jet and Droy. "If we don't find and beat Laxus in the next 3 hours," Alzak stopped mid-rant when he noticed symbols encircling them. "What the hell is this now?" The symbols began to glow brightly, before 2 barriers materialized, trapping the 3 mages. "An enchantment. You've gotta be kidding me? So that bastard Freed put up enchantment traps up all over the city," Jet said, staring down at the symbols on the ground. "Then we should definitely take him out first." "Guys," Droy said, as he got Jet and Alzak's attention. "We have a problem." "What are you?" Jet stopped talking when he spotted writing appear on the barrier in front of them. "Rule, only the strongest mages trapped within may escape." "You're joking, right? Are they expecting us to fight amongst ourselves?" "That's cheating, Freed," Droy exclaimed, shaking his fist in the air. "I'm sorry, guys," Alzak muttered, as he aimed his magic revolvers at Jet and Droy. "I have to save Biska. I can't afford to be wasting any time." Back at Fairy Tales Guild Hall. "What's this now?" Makarov said to himself, noticing that words were appearing on the barrier that was blocking their exit. "Battle of Fairy Tale Progress Report, what does that mean?" Just then another series of words materialized on the barrier. Makarov's eyes widened when he read the progress report. "Jet versus Droy versus Alzak, what the hell is going on here? Why are they fighting amongst themselves?" Natsu asked, as he walked up next to Makarov. "This isn't the time to be bickering with each other." Moments later the progress report changed once again. "Alzak beat both Jet and Droy? And there's only 81 members of Fairy Tale that can still fight?" Natsu tightly balled his fists, as he reread the progress report. "Just what the hell is going on here? This can't be right." Makarov said in a shaky voice, seeing dozens of similar progress updates popping up on the barrier. "Stop this. Stop fighting amongst yourselves, you fools. What the hell are they doing?" Gadjil growled, as he slammed his fist into a wall. "There has to be a reason they're all fighting each other. There must be enchantment traps spread all throughout the city, and the people who get stuck in them have to fight each other." Happy explained, watching as the number of remaining Fairy Tale members seemed to be dropping by the second. "This is probably what Laxus mean by the Battle of Fairy Tale. NGHH. That son of a bitch." Natsu growled, as he pressed his hand against the invisible barrier. "I need to get out there." "You need to calm down, Natsu," Makarov said, extending a hand onto Natsu's shoulder. "Nobody seems to be thinking straight out there. Our comrades' lives are on the line right now, so we can't have you losing your cool too. At the rate we're going, everyone who's petrified will turn to dust, and they'll never come back. Gichan, Laxus may be a massive ass that seemingly lives to put other people down, and he never ceases to piss me off, but I don't think he'll really kill anyone. I'm definitely worried about the girls, but I don't think they're in any immediate danger. Laxus is just using them as bartering chips right now, which irritates the hell out of me," Natsu said, much to Makarov and Gadjil's surprise. "He can seem like the world's biggest piece of shit sometimes, but he's still a member of our guild." Crossing his arms over his chest, a grin spread across Natsu's face. "Don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna kick the ever-living shit out of him for touching a hair on those girls' heads, it's the least he deserves." "Natsu," Makarov thought, staring at the pink-haired dragon slayer in shock. "All these years you and Laxus have constantly been at each other's throats, but deep down you still considered him a comrade, even now after everything he's done. You actually believe he wouldn't go that far?" Gritting his teeth, Makarov balled his fists. "I just..." Before Makarov could finish his thought, a new progress report flashed onto the barrier, and Makarov's eyes widened once he read it. 42 remaining? Just through Nakama fighting each other, there's already less than half left. With Ritas, eastern outskirts of Magnolia. *Huff*, the eastern forest, the eastern forest. Ritas repeated to himself, as he ran in towards where Poorly Yusika's home was. I have to find Poorly Yusika-san's house, I have to get out of the city. But just before Ritas could leave the city limits, he ran into an invisible barrier blocking of the town's exit. What the, don't tell me there's an enchantment around the entire town. Ritas' eyes widened when he felt an ominous magical presence approaching. Spinning around, Ritas spotted magical characters gathering in front of him. I will not allow any violation of my laws. The incident we had earlier was startling enough. Fried's disembodied voice echoed out, the magical characters beginning to circle in a specific spot. What's this, the characters are? Ritas said, as a pair of legs began to form from the characters. Laxus made it abundantly clear. Fried said, suddenly appearing in front of Ritas. That the battlefield is to be Magnolia, and only Magnolia. Fried pointed at Ritas, magical characters swirling around his extended finger. If you're a mage, then fight. Show me your true power. That I decree as law. Back at Fairy Tales Guild Hall. We're dropping like flies out there. Makarov grunted, as he watched new progress updates project onto the barrier. Damn it, looks like Elfman was just defeated by Evergreen. Even that mountain of a man was defeated. Dajil muttered, crossing his arms over his chest. Things aren't looking good right now. And it looks like Gray is fighting Bixlow right now. Natsu added, as he glared at the words on the barrier. Looks like the Reijinshu is finally making their move. No. Makarov said, watching as the number of combatants went down once again. They took out Ritas, this isn't good, it would have been quite the advantage to have Poorly Yusika helping us. It's fine, Jichan. Natsu said, as he walked up next to Makarov. Like I said, Laxus is just bluffing. Oh ho? You think I'm bluffing, Natsu? A familiar voice said from behind the dual dragon slayer. Whipping around, everyone was surprised to see Laxus crackle into the room. Laxus! Natsu exclaimed, instantly coating his fists in orange lightning. Did you just come here to taunt us? Calm down, Natsu. Happy said, as he flew up next to the pink-haired dragon slayer. That's just a magic projection. Oi, what the hell are you two idiots still doing here? Laxus asked, glancing back and forth from Natsu to Gajil. Shouldn't you guys be out there fighting? We would be, but this damn barrier your lackey put up is keeping us trapped here for some reason. Gajil growled, as he slammed his fist against the invisible barrier. Laxus, just stop this foolishness already. Makarov urged, stepping towards the imposing man. This has gone too far. You're Nakama, no, you usually call them brats, don't you? Laxus said, as he smirked at Makarov. Well, tell me how it feels to watch your brats beat each other into the ground. With Urza, Natsu, and Gajil out of the picture, I guess there's nobody out there with the power to stand up against the Reijinshu. So old man, do you surrender? There's still Gray. Natsu exclaimed, glaring at Laxus. The Ice Princess is pretty damn strong. He'd never lose to the Reijinshu. I won't expect anything less from my rival. Ha, you're pinning all your hopes on that weakling? Laxus asked, as he laughed haughtily. Then I hope you're prepared to have those hopes dashed. I wouldn't underestimate Gray if I were you, Laxus. Makarov said, doing his best to look confident, but on the inside he was full of worry. Please, Gray. We need you pull off a miracle. 5 minutes earlier, Magnolia's shopping district. Where the hell are these bastards? Gray muttered to himself, as he walked through an abandoned clothing store. I've been searching all over for these guys and I haven't found anything yet. However, Gray would get his wish when he peeked past a rack of clothes, spotting one of the people he was searching for. So this is where you were hiding? It's Gray. Bixlow cheered, letting out a boisterous laugh. Hey, how about we have some fun? If you consider getting your ass kicked fun, then I'm all in. Gray said, as he slid into a fighting stance, ice flakes swirling around him. Yahoo! I can tell this gonna be a blast. Bixlow exclaimed, charging towards Gray without warning. Laughing manically, Bixlow attempted a low sweep to kick out Gray's legs. But, the Gray reacted quickly and jumped over Bixlow's kick. Yeah! Raising his arm, Bixlow's wooden dolls gathered in front of him. Fly, my babies! Mimicking Bixlow's maniacal laughter, the wooden dolls quickly encircled Gray. Moments later, the wooden dolls began to fire magical beams at Gray. Damn it, these things are annoying! Gray grunted as he struggled to dodge the rapid-firing lasers. Line formation! Bixlow commanded, his wooden dolls quickly stacking on top of each other. The dolls' eyes began to glow, firing a large vertical beam at Gray. The Ice Mage's eyes widened for a moment, before he dodged the laser, using a nearby mannequin to spring into the air. Ha! You're not bad for a punk, Gray. Now my babies, victory formation! However, Bixlow was surprised when his babies didn't follow his orders. Bixlow quickly turned to where his wooden dolls should have been. What's wrong, babies? Bixlow gasped when he saw that his babies were frozen completely solid. What? When did he dash? Bixlow was cut off when Gray sprang into action, smashing his knee into the armored man's face. Head snapping, Bixlow collapsed to the ground. Ice make, hammer! Gray exclaimed, as tightly balled his fist, causing massive hammer formed from solid ice appearing over Bixlow. Gray slammed his fist into his palm, making the ice hammer fall towards Bixlow. X formation! Bixlow ordered, forming an X with his arms. Gray was shocked when 4 mannequins gathered around Bixlow and stopped the ice hammer from hitting him. Phew! That was a close one. What? But I froze your wooden dolls, Gray said, as he grit his teeth in frustration. Just what the hell is going on here? My magic human possession allows me to implant souls into my dolls. Bixlow explained with a smirk, crossing his arms over his chest. You can freeze their bodies all you like, but you can't freeze their souls. I can simply transfer them into new bodies whenever I want. Then I guess I'll just have to freeze you instead, Gray exclaimed, as he charged towards Bixlow, ice shards swirling around hands. Come and catch me if you can. Bixlow cheered with his tongue lolled out, before turning around and running out of the clothing store. Oi! You're not getting away! Gray yelled, as he attempted to freeze Bixlow in place. But his attempts were stopped when several mannequins blocked his attack. You son of a bitch! Stop running away! Without a second thought, Gray began to chase Bixlow through the streets of Magnolia. Stop right there, Bixlow! Bixlow merely laughed maniacally in response, taking a sharp turn down a narrow alley. Damn, this asshole! Turning into the alley, Gray was surprised to see that Bixlow wasn't there. Where did he dash? Where you lookin', buddy? I'm up here, Gray. Looking up, Gray's eyes widened when saw Bixlow high above, doing the splits to hold himself up. What the hell are you trying to pull? Gray growled, as he balled his fists. Why did you take me on this wild goose chase through town? I told you, didn't I? Bixlow asked, taunting Gray by sticking out his tongue. I just want to play. My babies want to join as well. What the hell are you babbling? Gray stopped mid-sentence when he noticed magical characters appear on the ground around him. An enchantment. Gray felt his heart sink when he what appeared on the barrier. Until this battle is over, those trapped in this barrier may not use magic. Lowering his head, Gray tightly balled his fists. So all that running around was to lead into some cheap trap? It's times like these that remote control type magic really comes in handy, Bixlow said with a grin, just as 2 mannequins appeared in the entrance to the alley. Looks like this battle is over, Gray. It was fun while it lasted. Shit! The mannequins! Gray exclaimed, as he instinctively raised his arm to try and freeze the dolls. However, Gray quickly remembered that he couldn't use his magic because of the barrier. The Ice Mage's eyes widened when the mannequins fired beams of magical energy at him. Gritting his teeth in frustration, all Gray could do was raise his arms and try to block some of the magical beam. Gray released a pained scream when the beams hit him, encasing his body and most of the alley as smoke. Ha 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 ha. Bixlow laughed manically, staring down into the dust and debris. That's too bad for you, man. I guess even the Great Gray is useless without his dash. Bixlow stopped when he saw a silhouette burst out of the smoke and leap towards him. That's not possible. I'm not going down before I've landed another hit. Gray roared, as he smashed his fist into Bixlow's face, sending both mages crashing to the ground. Damn, that kid has a solid right hook. Bixlow grumbled, rubbing his sore cheek before he got back onto his feet. But I will admit that was pretty impressive, still getting up after taking all that damage from my babies. With a smirk on his face, Bixlow walked over to Gray's motionless form. Bixlow crouched down next to Gray and prodded him with his finger. After a few moments of not receiving a response, Bixlow's smirk widened. Well, what do you know, the fight's already over. Back at Fairy Tales Guild Hall. No way. Natsu breathed out, as he read the latest progress updates several times over. The dual dragon slayer's shoulders were slightly shaking, as he tightly clenched his fists. Gray lost. Ha 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 ha. Laxus laughed boisterously, pointing at Natsu. What the hell did I tell you, idiots? That punk is such a weakling. No way. Happy exclaimed, as he flew up next to Natsu. You guys pulled some type of dirty trick. None of you are fighting fair. So, who's going to defeat the Reijinchu now? Laxus asked in a cocky tone, crossing his arms over his chest. We've still got Natsu and Gajeel. Happy said, as he gestured to both dragon slayers. They'll beat all of you. And what are they going to do shut up in this place? Laxus questioned with a smirk, stopping Happy in his tracks. All right, that's enough. Makarov said, as he hung his head, releasing a heavy sigh. I surrender. So stop this useless violence, Laxus. Ji-chan. Natsu snapped, whipping around to face Makarov. You can't just give up so easily. Enough, Natsu, there's no point dash. He's right, this just won't do. Laxus said, as he sneered at Makarov. I can't accept the great master of Fairy Tale being so pathetic and accepting his defeat this easily. No. No, if you really want to resign, you do it after you hand over the title of Master of Fairy Tale to me. That's a dirty fucking trick, Laxus. Natsu growled, slamming an electrified fist into a nearby wall. Stop these damn games and fight me like a man. Or are you so scared of me that you have to run off and hide like a pussy? You better watch your tongue, Natsu. Laxus said, as he glared at the pink-haired dragon slayer. Keep this up and I'll have Evergreen kill those girls right now. You son of a bitch. Natsu snarled, tightly balling his fists. I'm gonna make you pay for threatening my nakama. Why you, so that's what you were after? Makarov muttered, as he hung his head. There's just an hour and a half until those women crumble to dust. Laxus pointed out, a twisted smirk on his face. You better start thinking, because the clock is ticking. If you want all of this to end, all you have to do is use the guild's megaphone and announce to the whole town that Fairy Tale's new master is me. What's more important to you, old man? Your position, or the lives of your guild members? Just get the fuck out of here. Natsu roared, hurling a large ball of blue fire at Laxus, causing the projection fizzle and disappear. Panting slightly, Natsu sat down at the closest table. That bastard. Natsu, that was just a thought projection. Happy said, as he sat on the table next to Natsu. I know, buddy, but I couldn't stand listening to that guy's voice any longer. Natsu said, running his hands through his wild pink hair. He was seriously pissing me off. TCH, I can't stand this asshole. Gajeel muttered, as he sat at the table across from Natsu. Everything he does irritates me. To be honest, I wouldn't mind stepping down as master. Makarov said, surprising both Natsu and Gajeel. However, I cannot trust the future of Fairy Tale in Lax's hands. He is far too lacking in both conviction and heart. He has no right to take this seat from me. But at this rate... Happy said, as he turned his head to look at the petrified female fairies on the stage. They'll all be turned to dust. This is really bad. Natsu said, watching as the number of combatants still fighting started to plummet drastically. Alzak, Nab, they're all dropping like flies. The pink-haired dragon slayer's eyes widened in shock when the number stopped dropping. 2? There's only 2 people left? Turning his head, Natsu locked eyes with Gejeel. Looks like we're the only ones left standing. Yeah, but we can't do shit when we're stuck in here. Gejeel grumbled, as he drummed his fingers on the table. We're running out of options here, Salamander. Have all of my children fallen because of friend fighting friend, and the Reijinchu mopping up the rest? Makarov thought, tightly balling his fists. We have no mages left to fight, is this really the end? Alright, things are looking desperate and we've got no plans. Natsu said, as he stood up from his seat and made his way onto the stage. Looks like I've got no other choice. What are you planning to do, Natsu? Makarov asked, quirking an eyebrow in confusion. I'm going to revive Urza. Natsu said, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. The stone should come off if I burn it, right? What are you talking about, you idiot? Makarov exclaimed, storming over to the stage. You might end up killing her. We won't know unless we try. Natsu cheered with a grin, as he pressed his flaming blue hands against Urza's shoulders. Don't worry, Ji-chan, my magic can't hurt Urza anymore. Natsu's blue flames quickly encased Urza's entire body, bathing her in the intense fire. For several moments nothing seemed to be happening, but as soon as Natsu began to pump out more magic, a bright light began to glow on the crook of Urza's neck. The mate mark? It must be reacting to my magic. Okay, Urza, come back to me. Natsu pushed out even more flames. The fire was so harsh that everyone else present had to shield themselves from the heat. Come on, Urza. I need you by my side. Moments later, the stone encasing Urza began to crack. Hold up, Natsu. Makarov exclaimed, watching as the cracks began to spread. She's going to fall apart. Makarov tried to rush onto the stage, but he was stopped when someone grabbed his shoulder. Whipping his head around, Makarov was surprised to see that it was Gejeel who had stopped him. Gejeel, what are you dash? Just slow down for a second, ya old geezer. Gejeel said with a smirk, gesturing back towards the stage. 'Cause you're about to see something amazing. Come on, Urza. We need your help. Natsu thought, as he tightened his grip on the scarlet-haired knight's shoulders. Leaning down and closing his eyes, Natsu pressed his head against Urza's. However, Natsu was surprised when instead of stone, he felt his face sink into something much softer. The dual dragon slayer's eyes shot open and he saw that his face was now buried in Urza's strawberry-scented hair. Natsu instantly stopped his flames and hugged his mate tightly. Urza! You're back. What? Urza murmured in a confused tone, gazing at her surroundings. I remember Evergreen turning me to stone, then everything went dark for so long. But all of a sudden I felt this incredible warmth wrap around me and take all my worries away. It was then that Urza noticed that someone holding her. Tilting her head back, the scale-haired knight wasn't surprised to see that she was in Natsu's arms. A smile spread across Urza's face, as she pressed her head against Natsu's chest. I guess I have you to thank for saving me. Well, I couldn't just abandon my knight when she's in trouble. Natsu said with a grin, as he hugged Urza a little tighter. Urza! Makarov said in a shocked tone, as he walked onto the stage. How did this happen? I don't really know myself. Urza said, gently getting out of Natsu's grasp and standing back onto her feet. Perhaps it had to do with my right eye, and a little help from Natsu. With a small smile, Urza placed a hand over her mate Mark. Master doesn't need to know about us just yet. Of course. That makes sense. Makarov thought, as he nodded his head. Since half the magic was taken in through her artificial eye, the effect was halved. Urza, do you understand the situation? Happy asked, flying up next to Urza. Because we're in a really tight spot right now. Yes, I was able to overhear everything. Urza replied, as she crossed her arms underneath her chest. And I'm not too pleased with Lax's attitude. Yes, we can do this. Makarov thought, a grin spreading across his face. Now's our time to strike back. But before I head out, Urza said with a smile, tapping Natsu on the shoulder and gesturing towards Lucy. Since you freed the knight, you might as well free the princess too. Heh, you're right. Natsu said with a chuckle, as he walked over to Lucy, his hands coated in bright blue flames. Time to free you two, Luce. That wraps up this part of What If Natsu Had Dual Elements. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.